Chapter 719. The reason why a King Realm Expert was so much stronger than a Divine Secret Realm Expert was because of three aspects: stronger attack, stronger defense, and faster speed. An ordinary King Realm Expert could instantly kill a Divine Secret Realm Expert with a single attack. No defense would work. However, for the Black Flame King, all sorts of attacks were blocked by Long Yu. Generally speaking, it was impossible for an attack from a Divine Ability Secret Realm Expert to break through the defense of an Immortal King Realm Expert, especially when it came to the powerful body of a Demon Cultivator. But to Long Yu, this was not an issue at all, because he had an ancient ranked battle weapon in his hand, and it was also compatible with Tian Qi. As for speed, the Black Flame King was not known for his speed. Even if he was fast, he would not be that fast. Moreover, facing a group of Divine Secret Realm Experts, the Black Flame King would not run away in fear. However, the result was that both of his hind legs were pierced through by Long Yu's Void Spirit Dragon Blade, causing him to bleed profusely and suffer severe injuries. Long Yu's terrifying attacks made it impossible for the Black Flame King to fight back against Qi Hua and Hua Mei'er. If it wasn't for his Emperor Road mystical stage cultivation base, he wouldn't have been able to defend himself against Hua Mei'er and Xiao Xing's combined attacks with just his flame cloak. The higher one's cultivation base was, the more powerful the battle weapon they could unleash. If the same flame cloak was on Hua Mei'er, she would not have been able to withstand the Black Flame King's attack. I have heavenly fire. Qi Hua finally displayed his innate mystique. His eyes were blazing and a flaming pupil appeared on his forehead, continuously shooting out beams of heavenly fire divine text towards the Black Flame King. The origin of heavenly fire divine text, the level of power that Qi Hua had comprehended, was higher than the Black Flame divine text of the Black Flame King. Under the continuous bombardment of the Eye of Heavenly Fire, the Black Flame King kept retreating, unable to launch a counterattack. This was because once his defense relaxed, the origin of Heavenly Fire divine text would take advantage of the gap and injure him. It was fine if he was injured by Long Yu, as even Long Yao was forced to admit defeat by Long Yu, but how could he be injured by a mere two Divine Secret Realm Expert? The Black Flame King would never allow such a thing to happen. Black Flame Tornado. The Black Flame King raised his hand and finally used the Divine Chain technique. A wave of Black Flame divine characters condensed into a whirlwind that instantly swept out in all directions. All the attacks aimed at him were completely devoured, and he quickly killed his way in all directions. I can't defend. Once I do, I'll go from being active to being passive. Seeing this, Long Yu's heart trembled. He knew that he must not stop attacking the Black Flame King. Spatial penetration. The Nether Void Dragon Blade once again swept out, condensing into a pitch-black sharp blade. In an instant, it broke through the layer of black flames and appeared in front of the Black Flame King. Puff! The Nether Void Dragon Blade pierced through the blazing cloak. The great desolate grade combat weapon, the blazing cloak, was instantly destroyed by this attack. Although it was only a small hole the size of the tip of a knife, it still reduced the defensive capabilities of the flame cloak by more than half. Damn it, stinking brat, I'm going to tear you apart. The Black Flame King stretched his hand out to grab the Netherworld Dragon Blade. However, when he stretched his hand out, the Netherworld Dragon Blade had already returned to Long Yu's hand. Barrier of Death. Long Yu used his defensive means. The Black Flame King's Divine Chain and Black Flame Whirlwind engulfed Long Yu, but it was unable to harm him. Under the Death Realm, the current Long Yu could withstand the attacks of ordinary King Realm Experts. Although it was only one attack, it was enough. Not to mention that the Black Flame King's Divine Chain was only an 8th grade Divine Chain. It was not as advanced as Long Yu's Phantom Spiral. Of course, with the Black Flame King's King Realm cultivation base, its power would definitely be stronger than Long Yu's Phantom Spiral. Under the joint attack of everyone, the Black Flame King, a King Realm Expert, was actually unable to fight back. After the Nether Void Dragon Blade pierced through the Black Flame Cloak, it could not defend against the other's flame attacks. Finally, even Hua Mei'er, Xiao Xing and the others could attack the Black Flame King's body and start to injure him. The continuous attacks made the Black Flame King unable to fight back. He was sure that once he stopped defending and started to fight back, the surging attacks would engulf him, especially Long Yu. Black Flame Yuan's spirit appear. A ruthless look flashed in the Black Flame King's eyes. Then, a Black Flame Bull Demon Yuan spirit that looked exactly like his body appeared. This was a clone he had created. Black Flame Yuan's spirit self-destruct. The next moment, the Bull Demon Yuan spirit formed by the Black Flame divine characters suddenly self-destructed. Be careful, come in. Long Yu was the first to react. He took out the ancient Dragonbone Tower and put himself, Xiao Xing, Huokmei'er, Qihua, and Man Exine into it. At the same time, he activated the last 2-9 underworld heavenly screens to defend himself. The Black Flame Yuan spirit suddenly self-destructed. A terrifying power swept across the entire area. The first to suffer were the 3 fire god race beasts. They were directly burned to ashes by the Black Flame divine characters. Even the entire volcano was covered in black flames. This was the destructive power of a King Realm expert's divine ability. If one was not a King Realm expert, they would not be able to explode with such terrifying power. However, Long Yu was not in the mood to be amazed by the Black Flame King's strength. This was because the Black Flame King wanted to take this opportunity to step into the luxurious palace first, using the explosion to deceive others. You want to enter the palace first and gain points. I have to say, you are thinking too much. Long Yu hid in the Dragonbone Ancient Tower and raised one hand. Dragonbone Ancient Tower, compatible with Tian Qi. After compatible with Tian Qi with the Void Spirit Dragon Blade, Long Yu made another breakthrough. Finally, his compatibility with the Dragonbone Ancient Tower increased. This bottleneck had existed for far too long. Now, he had finally broken through. Dragonbone Break. Tian Qi, who was compatible with the Dragonbone Ancient Tower, could use the Dragonbone Ancient Tower to unleash a terrifying move. He could control the Ancient Tower to travel through space at an extremely fast speed and spin at a terrifying speed to attack a specific target. The next moment, the entire Dragonbone Ancient Tower started to spin rapidly. With the top as the head and the bottom as the tail, it instantly pierced toward where the Black Flame King was. It only took an instant. The rapidly spinning Dragonbone Ancient Tower emitted the power of endless 9 nether divine text, forcing the Black Flame King back. Even though the Black Flame King cast a Black Flame divine text barrier at the critical moment to block it, how could it withstand the power of the Dragonbone Ancient Tower? The Black Flame divine text barrier shattered directly. Then, the Black Flame King was struck by the Dragonbone Ancient Tower and was sent flying hundreds of feet away. He landed heavily on the ground, and the black flames on his body were finally extinguished. Compared to the Nether Void Dragon Blade's spatial penetration, due to the massive size of the ancient Dragonbone Tower, the might of the Dragonbone Break was even more terrifying. Its speed was also comparable to the spatial penetration. It was a pity that the ancient Dragonbone Tower would also be damaged after using this move. After sending the Black Flame King flying, the structure of the Dragonbone Ancient Tower seemed to have become even looser. This made Long Yu's heartache. Fortunately, this was the illusory world. Even if the Dragonbone Ancient Tower was completely destroyed, it wouldn't affect reality. It seemed like he had to use this move less. Even if he wanted to use it, he had to use it in conjunction with the 9 Nether Sky screen to allow the Dragonbone Ancient Tower to withstand the impact of this move. A white light flashed, and the Black Flame King was directly smashed to death. Then, he was sent out of the Red Emperor's illusory world. Long Yu's team became the final victors. It's finally over. However, before entering the palace, Long Yu floated in the last level of the Dragonbone Ancient Tower and looked at a cave not far away from the mouth of the volcano. He had long sensed that there were 5 martial cultivators hiding there. They were clearly waiting to reap the benefits. However, Long Yu couldn't be bothered with them since they didn't appear. He had just fought with the Black Flame King. and his energy was severely depleted. He had to rest in a luxurious palace for a while. Once 5 people from a faction entered the palace, the others wouldn't be able to enter again. Moreover, every palace would only exist for a certain period of time. After 2 hours, the palace would disappear. As the Black Flame King was dealt with, Huomei and the others were dumbfounded. How could this work? He was smashed to death? Long Yu's move was so terrifying that it actually forcefully smashed a King Realm expert to death. It seemed that when he faced Long Yao previously, Long Yu had held back. Of course, they didn't know that Long Yu had just fused with the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower. Moreover, this move had damaged the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower and couldn't be used continuously. Of course, if it was in the illusory world, it didn't seem to matter. Anyway, the Ancient Tower wasn't really damaged here. It was just an illusory world. Watching from afar as Long Yu kept the Ancient Tower and the 5 of them walked toward the luxurious palace. The 5 people from Sky Fire Commandery who had been hiding at the side from the beginning began to move. Big brother Huoyaoyu, if we don't act now, when will we? They defeated the Black Flame King and must have expended a lot of energy. If we act now, we will definitely succeed. A young man from the Sky Fire Fox clan, who was in the 6 Realms Divine Power Realm, said to Huoyaoyu, "Let's go, let's fight." Huoyaoyu nodded and said, "I don't believe that Long Yu is really so strong that he still has energy left after defeating the Black Flame King. Now it's time for us to reap the rewards." The 5 people from Sky Fire Commandery ran towards the battlefield as fast as they could, but they didn't know that their whereabouts had been completely detected by Long Yu's Eye of Shadow. "Since you want to come, we will wait for you." Just like the Black Flame King, the 5 people from Sky Fire Commandery obviously thought too much. Just now, when they were dealing with the Black Flame King, it was mostly Long Yu who attacked alone. The others in the Heavenly Mandate manner didn't expend much energy at all, and Long Yu's energy hadn't been completely depleted. The 5 people from Sky Fire Commandery followed Huoyaoyu, relying on the faults that constantly appeared on the volcano to block their line of sight. They thought that Long Yu and the others hadn't discovered them. However, space penetration. Long Yu and the others pretended not to know anything and slowly walked towards the luxurious palace. But when the other party came near, they directly attacked. A martial arts practitioner from Sky Fire Commandery, who was in the 7 Realms Divine Power Realm, was directly pierced through the chest by the Nether Dragon Blade. His heart meridian shattered, and he turned into white light. They had been discovered. Chapter 720. Huoyaoyu led the 3 6-path Divinity Realm cultivators from Sky Fire Province towards Long Yu's group of 5 with incredible speed. But in the next moment, endless flames descended from the sky, engulfing Long Yu's group of 5. Mystique, water manipulation. With Long Yu's reminder, Qiao Ziying had already made her preparations. Raising her hand, the divine rune power of water transformed into a long river, rushing towards the sky full of flames, extinguishing the flames of Huoyaoyu and the others. Although Qiao Ziying felt that her power was weak when dealing with the Black Flame King, who was also in the Divine Ability Realm, her power could still shine in front of an opponent who was also in the Divine Ability Realm. The 3 6-path Divinity Realm cultivators' flame attacks were all blocked by Qiao Ziying, but Huoyaoyu also made his move. Fire Shackles. Fire Meteor. Huoyaoyu immediately locked onto Long Yu as his target. A chain of fire god characters formed into a chain, trapping Long Yu on the spot. Fallen Heart Flame. The move that Huoyaoyu used to cripple Si Kong, from Ruoshui Province, was executed. A ball of flame shot out from Long Yu's heart. Boom! With a crisp sound, Long Yu's figure turned into black smoke and disappeared. It was just a primordial afterimage. Huoyaoyu's expression changed drastically. He immediately activated the fire god character power to cover his body. Innate Mystique, the flame body could give him an extremely strong defense, but it depended on who his opponent was. Pooh! The Nether Void Dragon Blade appeared behind him and pierced into his back. The 9 Nether Divine character power shattered his heart meridians, causing Huoyaoyu to turn into white light and disappear. Since Long Yu sensed an ambush, how could he not be prepared? He hid his body, leaving only a primordial afterimage to attract attention. Then, he attacked while his opponent was dealing with the afterimage. The ancient supreme tier combat weapon. The sharpness of the Nether Void Dragon Blade was not something that a 7-path Divinity Realm cultivator could defend against. One move, and Huiyaoyu was destroyed. Hehe, demon extinguishing 3 blades. Man Xin made his move. The demonic Tempest Saber in his hand emitted a terrifying aura as he slashed out 3 saber rays, each stronger than the previous one, forcing a 6-paths transcendent realm cultivator to retreat, forcing him to reveal his true form of a firefox. Seal the magic seal. A mysterious hexagonal seal condensed in front of Man Xin and descended on the firefox. The power of the demon's sealing divine rune directly suppressed all the power in the firefox's body. The 4th slash, the obliterating Devil 3 blades, was just a test. The following 4th blade was his true killing move. The firefox was trapped by the seal, so it could only throw out a great desolate level weapon to block Man Xin Saberlight. In the next second, it was pushed back by Man Xion's Storm Demonic Saber. To think that a 6-Daos Transcendent Realm Beast Cultivator would be completely suppressed by Man Xion, one could see how powerful Man Xion was. On the other side, Chihu was in a similar situation. As for Hua Mei and Qiao Xing, they had long since killed the last 6-Daos Divinity Realm Martial Cultivator. Spatial Penetration. Long Yu attacked again after dealing with the Celestial Fire Rain. He directly defeated the 6-Daos Divinity Realm Martial Cultivator that Qihua and Man Xion had suppressed and turned into white light. In a short period of time, the 5 people from the Skyfire Commandery were all killed. Even Long Yu and the others could not use their last bit of power. The gap between the 2 sides was too big. Let's go into the palace and have a good rest. After 2 hours, I can perform another 10 spatial penetration. Long Yu instructed the crowd and then ran to the luxurious palace not far away. Thanks to the Black Flame King, the 3 guardian beasts were killed in one move, so Long Yu and the others could enter unimpeded. There were no other cultivators around. Long Yu and the others could finally relax and walked into the luxurious palace. The recipe for a medium desolate level elixir is indeed worth 10 points. The crowd came to the center of the palace and received a jade scroll, which recorded the refining method of a medium desolate level elixir. This was another great gain for the Heavenly Mandate Manor. I don't know what Shura Manor has gained. Long Yu smiled and said, when this is over, we can exchange the elixir recipe with Shuchan. Both sides can get the information. Since they were completely friendly forces, this kind of information could be said to be a matter of course. The Heavenly Mandate Manor becoming stronger was good for Shura Manor, and the Shura Manor becoming stronger was also good for the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Both sides had a mutually beneficial relationship. After all, both sides were refugees from the Shura Commandery. In the North Snow Dynasty, if they did not stick together, how could they really develop? It was a good time for the North Snow Dynasty to become an empire. It was an opportunity for the Heavenly Mandate Manor and Shura Manor. As long as both sides obtained enough jade scrolls from the Red Emperor's illusory realm, it was almost certain that the 2 forces would rise at the same time. After resting for 2 hours, the luxurious palace disappeared, and Long Yu began to move forward with the 5 people. The direction he was moving toward was naturally the center of the entire Red Emperor's illusory realm. In the center of the entire illusory realm, there was the largest palace, in which the Jade Scrolls recorded the cultivation method of the upper grade desolate level martial arts technique, which was what all the martial arts practitioners in the illusory realm wanted. But before that, there were many other Jade Scrolls waiting for many forces to compete for. Even if someone ran to the central palace at all costs, it was impossible to defeat the 3 King Realm exotic beasts and obtain the Jade Scrolls that recorded the desolate level martial arts technique in the palace. In fact, without opening enough low-grade palaces, the high-grade palaces would not be opened at all. In other words, people could only compete from the low-grade palaces. After opening enough low-grade palaces, the high-grade palaces would be opened. In the entire Red Emperor's illusory realm, there were countless palaces of 1 grade value. But since Long Yu and the others had arrived at the 10-grade palace, it meant that enough palaces of 1 grade value had been opened. When enough palaces of 10-grade value had been opened, the palaces of 1 grade value would be opened. A total of 100 forces headed toward the center of the illusory realm together. Who could get the highest grade Jade Scroll in the Central Hall would depend on who could open the low-grade palaces along the way the fastest. There seems to be no strong King Realm warriors around the palace of 1 grade value ahead. Let's compete for a head-on. Long Yu used the divine concealment method to make the 5 people in the heavenly mandate manner invisible. Then they gradually approached a more luxurious palace. Everyone knew that this palace was worth 100 points. It would be great if the Jade Scrolls and it recorded the lower grade desolate level martial arts technique. Compared to alchemy recipes and combat weapon molds, the crowd preferred desolate grade martial techniques the most. This was because they could use the martial techniques after practicing them. As for alchemy recipes and combat weapon molds, they might not be able to refine them. Not only did they need talented alchemists and weapon refiners, but they also needed the materials to refine the desolate level elixirs and combat weapons. So what if you could refine them? Without the materials, how could you refine them? Moreover, there was a chance of failure. If that happened, all the materials would be wasted. It would be great if it was a martial arts technique. Everyone could use it. Chi was said excitedly. We don't lack the lower grade desolate level martial arts technique. This battle is mainly for you to learn more. Otherwise, we might not be able to deal with strong King Realm warriors. Long Yu said calmly. That's right. Xiao Ziying nodded. I heard that among the North Snow 8 villages and 4 prefectures, Long Yao and Black Flame King are the weaker ones. If we meet someone stronger, such as Jing Tianxing, who has entered the top 10,000 of the strongest King Realm, we definitely won't be a match for him, unless we can learn something from the previous battle. That's easy. Arrange an opponent of the 7 divine realms for me. I feel that my compatibility with the Stormy Demonic Blade has reached a bottleneck. I will be able to break through soon. Man Xin held the Stormy Demonic Blade and said with a grin, As you wish. Long Yu's lips curled up as he nodded his head. It was a bit difficult for Man Xin to deal with the 7 divine realms. But if he could successfully break through and kill his opponent, their overall strength would increase. In that case, I also want an opponent of the 7 divine realms. Chihua looked at Man Xin and said straightforwardly. He didn't want to lose to Man Xin. He was a genius who had comprehended the heavenly fire divine text. If he couldn't even beat Man Xin, how could he be considered a genius? I want to, Hua Mayer said. I want to too, Xiao Ziying said hurriedly. The Red Emperor's illusion realm was a place where one wouldn't really get injured or die. For martial cultivators, it was the best place to increase their strength. They obviously wouldn't waste this opportunity. You all want opponents of the 7 divine realms, but the problem is, where can I find so many of them? Long Yu was quite puzzled, but with a sweep of the Eye of Darkness, his eyes lit up. Right? The protectors of the 100 palaces are 7 beasts of the 7 divine realms, just enough to meet your requirements. As for the last one, leave it to me. I will hold the line for you guys. If there are any teams from other forces, I will stop them all. Can you do it alone? Chihua asked doubtfully. You actually doubt our big brother Long? Man Xin was unhappy. Hurry up and get to work. Even if a King Realm expert comes, our big brother Long can hold them off for us. What are you afraid of? That's true. Big Brother Long is an expert who even defeated the Black Flame King. Chihua immediately remembered that Long Yu was not an ordinary secret realm cultivator with transcendent powers. If even Long Yu couldn't hold them off, what could they do even if they joined forces? Soon, they came up with a battle plan. This wasn't just a battle plan, it was also a breakthrough plan. By fighting against opponents much stronger than them, they would force out their potential. In the Red Emperor's illusion realm, this kind of breakthrough battle wouldn't be dangerous because even if they died, they wouldn't really die. There were many people in the Red Emperor's illusion realm who had the same thought as the 5 of them. Chapter 721. On a vast grassland, a luxurious palace stood tall. 7 strange beasts of the Wood Divine clan stood guard at the side, surrounding the palace and preventing anyone from entering. These strange beasts of the Wood Divine clan had appeared in this illusory world according to the Red Emperor's impression. However, their strength was actually at the 7 Divine realm. Long you didn't know the vital points of the strange beasts of the Wood Divine clan. From afar, these strange beasts looked like vines growing enchantingly beside the luxurious palace. Even space penetration is useless. After all, without knowing their vital points, we can't attack them specifically. Looks like we can only destroy them by force. At Long Yu's command, the 5 people from the Heavenly Mandate Manor rushed out at the same time. The luxurious palace would only open after the 7 strange beasts of the 7 Divine realm were killed. Long Yu's group was clearly the first to arrive here. Man Xian and Chi Hua each picked a direction, found a strange beast from the Wood God clan, and started fighting with it. As for Qiao Xing and Hua Mei they attracted the attention of 2 strange beasts of the Wood Divine clan and fought against 2 strange beasts of the 7 Divine realm on their own. The last strange beast was stopped by Long Yu. Drunken Yellow Spring. Long Yu punched out. The power of the divine script of the underworld formed a yellow spring road that enveloped the strange beast of the Wood Divine clan. The divine script of the underworld had a lot of restraining effects on these strange beasts of the Wood Divine clan. When the punch landed, the strange beast immediately shrieked and roared madly. The power of the divine script of the Wood Divine clan exploded, dispersing the yellow spring road. However, what appeared in front of it next was the innate divine ability of the 9 underworld, which was much more powerful. The dragon's breath of the 9 underworld directly destroyed the body of the strange beast of the Wood Divine clan, turning it into ashes. It only took Long Yu 2 moves to deal with a strange beast of the 7 Divine realm. It was clear that his current strength was comparable to that of a King Realm cultivator. The only difference was that he lacked the power of the Realm of Mind, which could not provide him with additional strength. The rest is up to you. After taking care of one of the 7 Divine tier beasts, Long Yu stepped aside and waited for Scarlet Flame and the others to break through in the midst of battle. At the same time, Long Yu's main focus was on the Umbrella. Long Yu's innate mystique, Eye of Shadows, could last for a very long time. As it was a probing technique, it did not consume a lot of power. His biggest task was to ensure that no one would disturb the 4 who were in the midst of a breakthrough. To the south, a 5-man squad has appeared. Long Yu's shadowy eyes were extremely useful when it came to scouting targets. Within a radius of 1,000 feet, which was a radius of 6 miles, he could see everything clearly. Of course, that was unless the other party was much stronger than him and could hide from his detection. However, such an expert was at least an Emperor Realm expert. It was impossible for someone at the level of Yu Hanxin to appear in the Red Emperor's illusion. Of the 5 who had appeared, there were 3 7 Divine tier martial cultivators and 2 6 Divine tier martial cultivators. They came from a rather strong faction. Long Yu had observed the battle before. He knew that one of the 7 Divine tier experts was quite strong, but the others were mediocre. Concealment. Long Yu immediately concealed himself and stealthily approached the 5 people. Cultivators who had reached the Divine tier secret realm would usually have some methods to aid in observation. This squad of 5 was no exception. One of them used his hearing to sense the battle going on in the prairie up ahead. There are 4 people fighting 6 7 Divine tier guardian beasts. Logically speaking, there should be 7 of them, but the last one should have been taken care of by someone else. The martial cultivator with the powerful hearing ability said, "Are you sure there are only 4 people and not 5? The handsome young man in the lead asked coldly. "I'm not sure, but I can only sense the movements of 4 people. If the last one isn't hiding, then he must have been eliminated in the previous battle." The martial cultivator with the hearing ability said calmly, "Very well, let's attack directly. Kill them first, then slaughter the beasts. We'll enter the palace as fast as possible and get 100 points. After the handsome young man in the lead said that, wind appeared under his feet. The power of the wind, divine runes surrounded the group, making their speed extremely fast. It was a group enhancement type movement skill. Once it was used, everyone's speed would increase. Just as they rushed towards the luxurious palace, something unexpected happened when they were still 3 li away. Spatial penetration. The nether dragon blade appeared in the air and killed the martial cultivator with a hearing ability. A white light flashed. Even though the martial cultivator reacted quickly and immediately used a defensive method, he couldn't block the nether dragon blade's attack. Although his senses were sharp, he was only a 6th divine tier cultivator. The reason why they brought him along wasn't because he was strong in battle, but because his hearing ability was very useful in a place like this. Unfortunately, Long Yu directly obliterated that person the moment he attacked. As expected, there's someone kill. The handsome young man in the lead smirked. The remaining 4 people attacked Long Yu together. In an instant, the power of the divine runes shrouded over. Reincarnation barrier. Long Yu raised his hand and directly released the reincarnation barrier that he hadn't used for a long time. A layer of defense appeared in front of him. This was only his primordial shadow, not his real body, so it didn't matter if he was killed or not. The reincarnation barrier was just to buy time. But what surprised Long Yu was that it blocked it. The samsara barrier of the desolate afterimage was actually able to completely block the combined attack of the 4 of them. This scene caused Long Yu's heart to instantly turn cold. He was tricked. The 5 people he faced were also illusions. The real 5 people were probably already attacking Qihua and the others were fighting next to the luxurious palace. In fact, the hearing divine ability martial cultivator that Long Yu thought he had killed in an instant was merely an illusion clone. Thinking of this, Long Yu almost immediately moved. God Chain, Phantom Spiral. Long Yu's real body directly used the phantom escape and ran towards the luxurious palace. He was like a pitch-black stream of light that pierced through the sky. Then, the 7th grade God Chain, Phantom Spiral, bloomed on the prairie. The 5 invisible figures appeared just a mile away from the luxurious palace. They were all discovered by Long Yu and trapped by the Phantom Spiral. How was this possible? How did you find us? The handsome young man in the lead was surprised. He knew that Long Yu was strong, but it wasn't in terms of perception, right? They were stealthily approaching the palace. How could they be discovered by Long Yu? Very simple. Long Yu floated in the air and raised his hand. Explode. This directly triggered the evil thoughts in the 5 people. Greed, jealousy, selfishness, a series of negative emotions were completely detonated by the power of the netherworld divine runes. The targets that couldn't be discovered by the Eye of Shadow could be easily found by the evil thought explosion at close range. If it wasn't for Long Yu using an ancient shadow to block the illusion of the 5 people, even if he discovered them, he probably wouldn't be able to come back in time to help. Just a little bit more, and the 5 people would have succeeded in their sneak attack. Qihua, Man Xen, Mayor, and Xiao Xing were fighting with their own opponents, try to break through. If the 5 people had succeeded in their sneak attack, the consequences could be imagined. Long Yu would have to walk through the second half of the illusory world alone. Fortunately, Long Yu managed to discover and stop the other party in time. The evil thoughts in the 5 people's hearts exploded, injuring the 5 people trapped by the Phantom Spiral. Especially the 2 martial cultivators and the 6 Daos divine runes. They were directly injured by the evil thoughts. Luckily, the handsome youth in the lead raised his hand, and the wind divine runes swept out. Together with the power of the other 2, they finally broke the Phantom Spiral God Chain. However, at this moment, the sound of sharp blade whistling through the air entered the 5 people's ears, causing their hearts to tighten. Then, the martial cultivator with the hearing ability was finally assassinated. He turned into a ray of white light and was sent out of the Red Emperor's illusion. Spatial penetration. This move of Long Yu could be used 10 times in a row. After killing 1 person, Long Yu didn't relax, because that person was the weakest of the 5 people. Shadow kill technique? No, it's just a few small ones. Scholar tree plaque, Lao Dongba weariness, heat emblem, screen. Long Yu thought to himself. Wielding the nether void dragon blade, he charged towards the handsome young man in the lead. Soul imprint absorption, soul explosion. The void nether dragon blade instantly absorbed the soul imprints of the remaining 4 people and exploded before it even got close to them. The power of the netherworld divine runes instantly spread out and enveloped the 4 people. The wind divine runes swept out, and the handsome youth in the lead completely blocked Long Yu's move. But immediately after, the nether void dragon blade appeared behind him, and it pierced through space and instantly pierced into his back. Wind incarnation. That handsome youth's figure was actually another incarnation. After being pierced by the void nether dragon blade, the wind incarnation dissipated in the air like a gust of wind. However, Long Yu's expression didn't change. He raised his hand. Nether Dragon 9 explosions, vibration explosion, chain explosion. As a dragon roar sounded out, the netherworld divine runes spread out in all directions and exploded in the next moment. Even the handsome young man, who had escaped by transforming into a gust of wind, was shocked by this attack and fell from the sky not far away. Spatial penetration. Let's see how you can block it now. The handsome young man revealed an astounded expression. However, he didn't even have the time to react before the nether void dragon blade had already appeared in front of him, and it stabbed into his forehead. One-hit kill. With a flash of white light, the strongest person in this 5-man team was killed by Long Yu just like that. Even though he used all sorts of methods, he still couldn't escape the assassination of spatial penetration. Chapter 722. The strongest member of the 5-man team was killed by Long Yu, so the remaining members were easy to deal with. Long Yu wielded the void nether dragon blade and killed the remaining 3 members one by one, leaving no survivors. Then he cast divine concealment and hid himself, digesting the battle experience he just gained. Near the luxurious palace, Man Xin was engaged in a fierce battle with a wood divine race beast. In the beginning, the 7 divine level wood divine race beasts completely suppressed Man Xin. But soon, Man Xion's understanding of the demon-sealing divine rune improved, and he was finally able to withstand the attacks of the wood divine race beasts. After a long battle, he finally comprehended the 5th blade of the 7 demonic blades, raising this innate mystique to the 5th level. With a single slash, the wood divine race beast was heavily injured. The stormy demonic blade continued slashing down, and it didn't take long before the wood divine race beast was sliced into pieces. On the other side, Chihui used the power of the origin heavenly fire to suppress the 7 divine level wood divine race beasts. Fire countered wood, and the beasts suffered greatly under the suppression of the origin heavenly fire divine rune. However, the difference in cultivation between the 2 sides was too great. The wood divine race beasts used some offensive methods to entangle Chi Hua's fox body and started absorbing its energy. At the critical moment, Chi Hua's body burst into flames, and the innate mystique heaven fire battle armor appeared. It instantly reached the mid-rank mystique level. Now, the heaven fire battle armor not only had defensive properties, but it also had a strong reflection effect. It could reflect a large portion of any attack it received. The 7 divine tier wood gods were caught off guard by the backlash of the heavenly fire, and they hurriedly loosened their grip on the scarlet fire. But then the eyes of heavenly fire appeared, and a beam of heavenly fire instantly blasted the wood gods' bodies, setting them on fire. After fighting against experts stronger than themselves, the 2 of them had a stronger understanding of the innate mystique, and they had even broken through the bottleneck and reached a deeper level. This was their breakthrough. As for Qiao Xing and Hua Mei, the 2 of them were facing 2 7 divine level wood divine race beasts at the same time, and the pressure was multiplied. But with their strength, they would definitely be able to win the end. Before long, you could clearly see the situation of the 2 women. He had already detected that the other 2 forces were approaching from different directions. Caveman, Crimson Flame, head north and stop the 4 of them. One of them is at 7 divine tier, and the other 3 are at 6 divine tier. As for why there are only 4, maybe one is dead, or maybe he's hiding. Long Yu said to Man Xin and Chihua. At the same time, he condensed 3 ancient shadows and moved forward with Man Xin and Chihua. Although Man Xin and Chihua had just broken through, the battle had just ended. If they went to stop the other forces' teams, they wouldn't be able to display their full strength. Without Long Yu's help, it would be impossible. Thus, it was much safer for Long Yu to condense 3 primordial shadows together with the other 2. They did not need to defeat the other party, they just needed to hold them back. As for the other side, there were 2 7 Daos Divine Power Realm and 3 6 Daos Divine Power Realm. Long Yu was prepared to personally stop them and end the battle quickly. 9 Underworld Heavenly Light. Long Yu approached in stealth mode and suddenly used the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light. The light from the 9 Underworld Divine runes instantly spread across the battlefield and enveloped the 5-man team. Soul Seal Siphon. 5th Heaven. After a long period of accumulation, Long Yu's innate ability finally had a breakthrough and reached the 5th Heaven. After becoming a mid-grade ability, the Soul Seal Siphon could seal the opponent's meridians for a period of time. Now that he had a deeper understanding of it, the duration of the effect had doubled. Although it was still only a few breaths' time, it was more than enough for Long Yu. Siphon. Soul Explosion. The Nether Dragon Blade in Long Yu's hand was ready at any moment. Once he had absorbed enough soul seals, he directly used Soul Explosion. Instantly, a 7 Daos and 6 Daos Divinity Realm Martial Cultivators could not withstand it, and were directly blown into nothingness, turning into white light and dissipating. As for the others, they were all enveloped by the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light and were all corroded by the power of the 9 Underworld Divine Runes. They all wanted to dispel the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, but the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light that was fully comprehended was quite stable. How could it be dispelled so easily? Even Long Yao could not dispel it completely in one go. When they finally saw the light of day again and dispelled the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light around them, Long had already exploded with a wave of power and killed 2 of their experts. Immediately after, Long Yu moved quickly in the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light. Holding the Void Nether Dragon Blade, he directly killed a 6 Daos Divine Power Realm Cultivator. Space Penetration. The 7 Daos Divine Power Realm Cultivator wanted to break through the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, but Long Yu suddenly used Space Penetration and smashed his head. His whole body turned into white light and dissipated. The last one didn't have any problems. A 6 Daos Divine Ability Realm Martial Cultivator couldn't even break through the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light. He was crushed to death by Long Yu in the pitch-black darkness and didn't even know what happened after dealing with this team. Long Yu immediately went to where Man Xin and Chihua were. In such a short period of time, his 3 desolate ancient shadows had exploded with extremely strong battle power, but they had all been completely defeated. Only Man Xin and Chihua were struggling to resist. There was even an extremely fast 7 Daos Divine Power Realm Cultivator that passed by the 2 of them and rushed towards the luxurious palace, seemingly trying to kill Xiao Ning and Huameyer. Just then, Long Yu secretly returned from another direction. With a flash of the Void Nether Dragon Blade, the 7 Daos Divine Power Realm Cultivator was completely annihilated. Not even a shadow was left. Instant kill. The current Long Yu could easily kill a so-called 7 Daos Divine Power Realm Cultivator. Even though there was a difference of 3 realms of martial arts, the difference in basic power could not make up for the difference in the power of the Divine Runes. Long Yu's Divine Rune of the 9 Nether was the power of the original level, far beyond the power of other people's Divine Runes. On top of that, Long Yu also had an ancient top-tier combat weapon, the Netherworld Dragon Blade. Even if an ordinary 7 Daos Divine Ability Realm Martial Cultivator's basic strength was 10 times stronger than Long Yu's, how could they possibly be a match for him? Just the space-piercing technique alone was impossible for these people to break. When Long Yu rushed to Man Xian and Chi Hua's side, another massacre took place, almost without a sound. Long Yu killed 3 teams that came to covet the luxurious palace, and because of this, he gained 15 points. The rules of the Red Emperor's illusion realm, other than finding the Jade Scrolls in the palace to gain points, killing people from other forces could also gain points. Every kill was worth 1 point. There's a strong aura coming. It's a little familiar. It seems to be the people of the Long Mansion. Before Long Yu could rest, he felt 5 people rushing towards him. One of them had a familiar aura. It seemed to be the crown prince of the Long Mansion, Long Yao. Brother Long, CK him up. Man Xian held the storm demonic blade in his hand and was eager to fight, but Long Yu knocked him on the head. Not now. I just used a lot of methods to deal with the others. If I fight with Long Yao now, I may not be able to win. Long Yu said to Man Xian and Chi Hua, "Go help Xiao Xing and Hua Mei, or I'll hold Long Yao back. Once we kill all the beasts, enter the palace immediately. Don't hesitate." "This, you want me to be a deserter?" Man Xian's eyes widened. "What's with all this nonsense? If I tell you to leave, then leave." Chi Hua dragged Man Xian away. Chi Hua did not hesitate to carry out Long Yu's orders. The arrival of the people of the Long Mansion was a coincidence for Long Yu. However, the luxurious palace was right in front of him. Even if it was not the Long Mansion, other forces would come. Spirit concealment. Long Yu went invisible and quietly moved in the direction of Long Yao and the others. Soon, he found that the 5 people of the Long Mansion seemed to know that someone was attacking the luxurious palace, and all of them turned into their dragon forms. Dragon demons. The people of the Long Mansion weren't demon dragons. They were demon flood dragons. Compared to the true dragon clan, the talent of demon flood dragons was much weaker. Of course, Long Yu had yet to see a true demon dragon. However, the demon flood dragons of the Long Mansion couldn't be considered as true experts. The golden dragon demon took the lead. It was the crown prince of the Long Mansion, Long Yao. "Let's see if I can kill you in seconds." Long Yu quietly took out the somewhat dilapidated ancient dragon bone pagoda and hid in it. Then he faced the dragon demons and directly displayed a move that was compatible with Tian Qi, Dragon Bone Break. With this move, Long Yu directly killed the Black Flame King, who was also in the King realm. If he sneak attacked Long Yao, there should be a chance of success, right? As long as Long Yao was dead, the rest of the people would not be a problem for Long Yu. Dragon Bone Break. While the 5 dragon demons revealed their true forms and rushed towards him, Long Yu directly attacked. The entire ancient dragon bone pagoda rotated rapidly, breaking through the void and blasting towards Long Yao. "Who is it?" "Berserker outfit." Long Yao was shocked by the sneak attack. His entire body glowed with a golden light, and the Berserker outfit covered his entire body. However, the power of the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda was far stronger than the power that Long Yu had used on him before. With one move, the Berserker outfit shattered, and the giant ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda directly knocked Long Yao's entire body away. Like a meteor, he fell to the ground of the prairie, smashing a large patch of soil. Space penetration. Long Yu did not show mercy. With a wave of his hand, he released the Nether Void Dragon Blade. In an instant, it broke through the void and pierced Long Yao's body, causing the eyes of the dragon demon to widen. Long Yao did not believe that he would die from a sneak attack, and that person would be Long Yu. It's him again. Long Yao's body turned into white light and was actually killed by Long Yu in one move. However, after this move, Long Yu's ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda became even more broken. Fortunately, this was an illusion. Otherwise, Long Yu would have been heartbroken. You are Long Yu. The remaining 4 dragon demons in the Long Mansion were scared out of their wits. As soon as Long Yu appeared, he killed their boss, Long Yao. What kind of terrifying power was this? Chapter 723. Long Yu himself was a little surprised. Although he stayed behind to face the 5 people of the Long Mansion alone, he never thought that he would be able to kill Long Yao in one move. How could that guy be so weak? It seemed that Long Yao was injured before he came here. Is he being chased? Long Yu made a guess in his heart. If that was the case, then the team that was chasing Long Yao's group must be from a stronger force. The most important thing was that among the 4 mansions of the North Snow 8 villages, other than Long Yao and the Black Flame King, who could completely suppress Long Yao and force him to flee. Long Yu did not know. There were several such people. There was no need for him to wait here for them to come. So kill. Long Yu walked out of the ancient dragon bone tower, the nether dragon blade in his hand. The space penetration appeared and directly pierced through the body of one of the flood dragon demon cultivators, turning it into white light and dissipating. Run! There were 3 young geniuses of the 7 Daos divine realm left in the Long Mansion. At this time, they were scared out of their wits. Even Long Yao was killed in one move. What could the rest of them do? They could only escape first and secretly look for opportunities to get more points. The 3 flood dragon demon cultivators fled in different directions at the same time, which surprised Long Yu, but it did not matter to him. If he could kill them, he would kill them. If not, he would let them go. Anyway, he had to step into the luxurious palace as soon as possible and avoid the expert who was chasing Long Yao. Poof! The space penetration was displayed again, and one of the flood dragon demon cultivators who fled in the direction of the luxurious palace was assassinated and turned into white light. Immediately after, Long Yu did not chase after the other 2 demon cultivators of the Long Mansion who fled in other directions, but returned to the luxurious palace. They had to enter the luxurious palace as soon as possible to avoid the expert who was coming. According to Long Yu's current state, if he were to face a King Realm expert who was stronger than Long Yu, he would definitely not be able to resist. The only way was to hide in the palace. As for after an hour, the palace would disappear. At that time, Long Yu and the others would have fully recovered their combat power. If they encountered any King Realm experts, they would be able to fight them. Near the luxurious palace, Xiaoxing and Hua Mei's battle was also nearing its end. After being ravaged by the 2 wood god race beasts for a long time, they finally had a breakthrough. Xiaoxing's innate skills had become stronger, and her understanding of the water divine characters had deepened. Hua Mei, on the other hand, was a high-ranked, great desolate rank battle weapon, the Hidden Heaven Flame and Tian Qi, which allowed her to unleash the full power of this battle weapon. If he were to unleash his full power, he would be able to resist even a King Realm expert for a period of time. It would be no problem for him to deal with 2 wood god clan beasts with 7 divine abilities, not to mention the fact that fire was the bane of wood. When Long Yu returned, the 2 girls unleashed their strongest powers and finished off their opponents. The 7 guardian beasts of the luxurious palace were finally eliminated. Let's go in first and come out after 2 hours. Long Yu waved his hand and led the group into the luxurious palace. In this palace, there must be a jade scroll worth 100 points, but no one knew what was recorded in it. After entering the palace, Long Yu told the 4 of them what had just happened. Ah, boss is boss. He even killed Long Yao in one move. Man Xian laughed. With Long Yao's death, we have 1 less enemy. But who could have chased after the Longhouse's team? Chi Hua frowned. I don't know. The palace where the jade scrolls are stored is completely shielded from our detection. Long Yu shook his head and said, but they can't come in anyway. Let's take the 100 points first and wait for 2 hours to recover. Then we can find a way to deal with any situation we encounter. That's true. Let's see what's recorded in this jade scroll. Man Xian ran to the center of the palace, picked up the jade scroll floating above the central stone pillar, and sank his divine sense into it. It really is a low-ranked, great desolate rank martial skill. And it's a movement skill. Let's try to cultivate it now. Man Xian's eyes lit up and said immediately. Everyone gathered around and took a look at what was recorded in the jade slip. Great desolate rank movement martial skill, Merak steps. It really is a martial skill. It is said that in the 100 palaces, most of them are high-ranked Great Desolate rank elixir recipes or middle-ranked Great Desolate rank combat weapon molds. I didn't expect our luck to be so good, to get a movement skill directly. Long Yu's face lit up with joy. The highest level of movement skill he had cultivated before was the Xian rank martial skill, Dragon Sparrow Dance. Now that he had obtained the Merak steps, he could use it to cultivate. Movement techniques were the rarest martial techniques out of all the martial techniques. They were extremely precious. Even in the treasures left for Shu Chan in the Dark Shadow demonic track, there was not a single movement technique. If there was, Long Yu would have learned it a long time ago. The inferior grade, Great Desolate grade movement technique, Merak steps, was better than nothing. Long Yu could not use the underworld shadow evasion in every situation. Within a short period of time, he could only use the underworld shadow evasion once. Furthermore, the speed boost provided by the Dragon Sparrow Dance was no longer sufficient in the King Realm. Now that he had found the Merak steps, Long Yu wanted to learn it too. Soon, the five of them began to cultivate in the palace. However, it was impossible for them to learn the Merak steps in just 2 hours. After all, it was a Great Desolate rank martial skill, and it was not easy to learn it. Outside the luxurious palace, a group of 5 finally appeared behind the Long Mansion's team. Someone went in first. A beautiful girl in a short black dress came to the entrance of the palace and shook her head with a hint of regret. Let's continue to look for other places. If Long Yu and the others were outside the palace, they would find out that this girl was actually Shu Chan. The experts who were chasing Long Yao and the other beast cultivators of the Long Mansion were actually from the Shura Mansion, and the leader was Shu Chan. Behind Shu Chan was Jiang Yixing, who had a cheeky smile on his face. He was a 7 Daos Divinity Realm cultivator, and thanks to Shu Chan, he had also experienced the glory of hunting down a King Realm expert. Unfortunately, they were not strong enough to stop Long Yao, so they did not know where Long Yao was. The guys from the Long Mansion are really lucky. Should we wait here and kill them when they come out? A subordinate of General Yixing, a young genius from the Sky Mist Prefecture's Freedom Legion, said with some resentment. This time, the Shura Mansion had sent 5 people to participate in the Red Emperor's illusory realm. One of them was Shu Chan, followed by General Yixing, Dugu Yijian, and Fu Tsubing. The last person was the genius who had followed General Yixing all the way, Lord Yunxing. The person who spoke now was Lord Yunxing, a 6 Daos Divinity Realm cultivator who had followed General Yixing's lead all the way. He also admired Shu Chan a lot. Obviously, Lord Yunxing thought that the people who had entered the luxurious palace first were the people from the Long residence. Hence, he suggested that they stay here and kill Long Yao when the palace disappeared. The hatred between the Shura Mansion and the Long Mansion was far greater than the hatred between Long Yu and Long Yao. If not for Long Yao, the number of young geniuses in the Shura Mansion would be many times more than it was now. How could they be so weak? Not only did Long Yao steal away Yu Tongfei's group of people, he often came to the Shura Mansion to mock them. How could the people of the Shura Mansion tolerate this? Now that they finally had a chance to kill Long Yao under the leadership of Shu Chan, they did not want to lose this chance. 2 hours is enough for us to do a lot of things. This time, we must focus on accumulating points. Shu Chan shook her head and said, the ones with the highest total points will get the mysterious reward from the Red Emperor. This is the mysterious reward from one of the 5 emperors. It will not disappoint us. Even if we can't get the last 10,000 points, we must snatch a few palaces with 1,000 points. Princess is right. Jiang Yixing stood up and smiled. Our time is precious. It's not worth wasting time with them. If we can find a palace with 1,000 points first, we will be ahead of everyone else. Then these guys got lucky. The next time I see them, I will not let them off. Lord Yunxing raised his head proudly. It was so cool to follow behind Shu Chan. He could chase and beat up a King's Realm cultivator. This was an experience he had never experienced before. One day, with Lord Yunxing's talent, he would eventually step into the secret realm of the King's Path. However, he knew that even if he stepped into the secret realm of the King's Path, he would not be able to match a genius like Shu Chan. Last time on the martial arts arena, Shu Chan could only join forces with Long Yu to deal with Long Yao. Now, she could already defeat Long Yao and chase after him. It was clear that Shu Chan had improved a lot during this time. Under the leadership of Shu Chan, the 5 people from the Shure Mansion left. But they did not know that the teams from the Shure Mansion and the Heavenly Mandate Manor had quietly missed each other 2 hours later. Long Yu and the others memorized the cultivation method of the Merak footwork. Then, the entire luxurious palace disappeared and the 5 of them appeared together on the vast grassland. No one. The first thing Long Yu did was to use his shadow eyes. However, he did not discover anyone in the surroundings. It seems that they have left. They are too lazy to wait near the 100 Points Palace. What should we do next? Man Xian looked at Long Yu and asked, "Let's find the 1,000 Points Palace or the other 100 Point Palace. Step by step, we will get closer to the center of the dreamland." Long Yu smiled slightly. "I have learned the Merak footwork along the way. I have some understanding of this martial art technique. Let's exchange some ideas. Maybe we will be able to learn it soon." Practicing the same martial art technique, they could exchange their experiences. If their comprehension was strong enough, they would undoubtedly be able to learn the martial art technique faster. The 5 of them began to discuss about the Merak footwork as they left the grassland. Chapter 724. The Red Emperor's illusion had been open for a day, and Long Yu led the 4 people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor. After obtaining the Great Desolation level lower grade martial art skill in Merak Steps, they also obtained a Great Desolation level medium grade combat weapon mold and a Great Desolation level upper grade elixir. In total, they obtained 3 100-point palaces and 6 10-point palaces. Because they killed a lot of people, they reached a total of 378 points. In this area, basically all the low-point palaces had been fought over. The next day, it was time to fight for the 1,000-point palaces. In the entire Red Emperor's illusion, there were a total of 10 1,000-point palaces. Each of the 1,000-point palaces was guarded by a King Realm exotic beast, which was extremely powerful. If this was the other Scarlet Emperor's illusory realm, the forces of the North Snow Empire that were ranked outside the top 100 would basically have no choice but to join forces. Even if they joined forces, they might not be able to kill a King Realm beast. But in the Red Emperor's illusion, where Long Yu was, the 1,000-point palaces were fought over. The exotic beast of the King Realm? Ridiculous. In the top 100 forces, there were 12 King Realm strongmen. Even if many of them had been killed on the first day, there were still forces with King Realm strongmen, and each force was bound to occupy a 1,000-point palace. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for anyone to compete with them. However, when the King Realm martial arts cultivators fought with the King Realm guardian exotic beast, wouldn't others be able to fish in troubled waters? The situation in the Scarlet Emperor's illusory realm instantly became chaotic. Half of the 100 teams that entered the Scarlet Emperor's illusory realm had already been killed, and there were only 50 teams left. Every single force's strength was not to be underestimated. If they were not strong in direct combat, then they had extremely strong underhanded methods. Even the King Realm strongmen might fall in the hands of some insidious guys. Not to mention, in the illusion, there were unusual people like Long Yu and Shu Chan. Although they were only in the mystery realm, they were able to fight the geniuses of the King Path secret realm and even force Long Yao to admit defeat. Those who had been killed were all in a comatose state. They could only wait 3 days later when the Red Emperor's illusion collapsed. Only then would their consciousness return to their bodies. In other words, apart from the Red Emperor himself, no one else knew what was happening in the Red Emperor's illusion. Many people were still expecting their own forces to achieve good results, especially the forces of the North Snow 8 villages and the 4 prefectures that had King Realm geniuses. But no one knew that up to now, the 2 King Realm experts of Spirit Flame Manor and Long Mansion, Black Flame King and Long Yao, had been killed by Long Yu and lost the qualification to continue fighting for the Jade Slip. Within the Red Emperor's illusory realm, near a huge palace located in a snowy mountain, Long Yu's group of 5 were hiding in a snowy call, constantly paying attention to their surroundings. There should be jade slips worth 1,000 fin stored in this huge palace, but there's a king realm ice god clan beast guarding it. With our strength, it's better not to barge in. Long Yu said calmly. Well, the king realm beast isn't scary. What's scary is that when we fight with the beast, someone else will intervene and take advantage of us. Chihua nodded. He knew very well what Long Yu was afraid of. Within 1,000 feet of this huge palace, including us, there are already 4 forces squatting, waiting for others to make the first move. Long Yu's eye of shadow emerged, and he took a panoramic view of the surrounding situation. He guessed, if no King Realm geniuses from the North Snow 8 villages or the 4 prefectures arrive in half a day, someone should come forward to invite them to join forces. The Red Emperor's illusion didn't give them much time. According to the progress, by the end of the second day, all 1,000 Fin palaces would have been taken away. If no King Realm expert arrived in half a day, then the forces nearby would naturally have to find a way to deal with the King Realm beast themselves. Joining forces was the only way. The good news is that after a day of comprehension, we have all succeeded in learning the Merak footwork. Long Yu smiled faintly. When fighting with King Realm experts, it can be considered as an extra layer of protection. After learning the Merak footwork, one would be able to use it preliminarily. It would allow one to have more agile dodging footwork. Although it wouldn't necessarily increase one's speed by much, it would improve one's dodging by a lot. Most importantly, the Merak footwork could be used continuously. Many common martial arts and divine powers could be used to dodge the Merak footwork, which gave it a great advantage in battle. What Long Yu didn't tell the others was that his understanding of the Merak footwork had improved to a certain level. It wouldn't be long before he would comprehend it to the initial realm. For the time being, there was no need to tell the others. When he truly comprehended the Merak footwork to the initial realm, he would then discuss the secret with the others. Otherwise, it would be useless. 2 hours. 4 hours. Time passed by. Everyone waited for a long time, but no King Realm genius arrived near the huge palace. Soon, 4 hours had passed. It had been half a day. Get ready, get ready. Let's start. Long Yu snapped his fingers and said to Man Xian and the other 3, the 4 of you split into different directions and spread out to investigate. You have to walk at least 3 kilometers away. As for me, I'll go annihilate the other forces first, then fight the Ice God clan's beast alone. If they waited any longer, they might not have a chance. In that case, they might as well create an opportunity themselves. Man Xian, Chihua, Mei and Xiao Xing all had a certain level of perception, although it was not as powerful as Long Yu's Eye of Darkness. If they spread out in 4 directions, they would definitely be able to sense anyone coming. As for Long Yu, the 4 of them were not worried at all. Since Long Yu said that he could fight the Ice God beast alone, there would definitely be no problem. They just needed to do a good job of scouting. The 4 of them spread out as fast as they could, and the 3 forces that had been waiting nearby, the 15 young genius martial arts practitioners, were also ready to make a move. Obviously, they were ready to do it themselves if they couldn't wait for anyone to come. Including the Heavenly Mandate Manor, there were a total of 4 forces, so there should be at least 10 at the 7 divine realms, right? If they join forces, it should be relatively easy to deal with an Ice God beast in the King Realm. The problem was, after killing the Ice God beast, how would the giant palace distribute the loot? Of course, they had to kill the Ice God beast first. Clearly, the other 3 major powers were also aware of the presence of other people in the surroundings. Therefore, they had a detection method similar to Long Yu's Umbra Eye. However, it was a pity that the other party was unable to detect that the person squatting in their direction was Long Yu. Just like the Eye of Darkness, Long Yu could detect the presence of people within range, but he couldn't see who they were. Kill. Long Yu used divine concealment and disappeared from their detection range. As Man Xian and the other 3 dispersed, the people from the other 3 forces also noticed it. They began to gather at the gate of the giant palace, obviously intending to join forces. Under such circumstances, Long Yu's team had already dispersed in all directions, causing the other 3 factions to become vigilant. However, Before they could gather, Long Yu had already reached the vicinity of one of the forces. Using the Merak steps that he had just learned, Long Yu wielded the Nether Void Dragon Blade and directly killed his way into the group of 5, killing one of the 7 Divine Realm young geniuses in a single move. There were still 4 left. "You're Long Yu. How dare you?" someone immediately exclaimed, and then all sorts of divine runes were thrown at Long Yu. Merak steps. Long Yu's feet moved slightly, and he used a great desolate low-grade movement skill. His entire body moved like a phantom, and with the help of the divine runes, he easily dodged the attacks. Die! The Nether Void Dragon Blade stabbed down, and Long Yu killed another person, adding another soul to the sharp blade. Spatial penetration. With a flick of his hand, Long Yu directly threw out the Nether Void Dragon Blade. With a flicker, another person's chest was pierced, and then his entire body was turned into white light under a look of disbelief. Die! 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 With regard to assassination and sneak attacks, Long Yu was already used to it. This was his talent, an ability that he was born with. At this moment, it was displayed to its fullest extent. In 3 breaths' time, the 5 young geniuses from a powerful force were all slaughtered, turned into white light, and sent out of the Red Emperor's illusion, falling into a temporary slumber. By the time they woke up, the fight for the Red Emperor's illusion had already ended, and there was no point in feeling regretful. In a place like this, the only thing Long Yu could do was kill and fight. There was nothing else to say, because if others had the same strength and opportunity, they wouldn't let him go. United? Very good. The eye of shadow on Long Yu's forehead flickered with an eerie light, and he sensed that the other 2 teams were heading towards him, causing his lips to curl. Divine concealment. I see it. It's those 10 people, 5 of them at the 7 Paths Divinity Realm, 9 Paths Heavenly Light. The 10 people rushed over together, thinking that even a King Realm powerhouse would be able to resist it, but what greeted them was a thick, pitch-black fog. Under the cover of the 9 Paths Heavenly Light, the power of the 9 Paths Divinity characters began to corrode their bodies, and many of the 7 Paths Divinity Realm powerhouses began to attack, trying to disperse the 9 Paths Heavenly Light. However, Long Yu's attack quietly arrived. Puff! 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 White light flashed continuously in the 9 Paths Heavenly Light, which meant that one person after another was sent out of the arena by Long Yu. The already terrifying Long Yu, with the support of the Merak steps, became even more unpredictable. He had just killed one person in one moment, and in the next, he was already behind another person. Everyone wanted to disperse the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, but when they successfully dispersed the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, they discovered that the 10 of them had almost been eliminated. Only when 3 people were left did they finally disperse all the 9 Paths Heavenly Light. It had only been 5 breaths since Long Yu had condensed the 9 Paths Heavenly Light to envelop them. In 5 breaths, he had killed 7 people. What kind of speed was this? Even if it was the strength of a King Realm powerhouse, it was only this. It's over. This King Realm Ice God Clan beast is mine. Chapter 725. The Merak footwork had reached the minor completion realm, which made Long Yu's movements even more strange. The most important change was that he could now teleport with small steps. The truly perfect Merak footwork could absorb the power of the Merak stars and allow a martial practitioner to cross space. Now that Long Yu had cultivated it to the minor completion realm, he could already feel the power of a certain star from beyond the heavens. That was the Merak star. With the help of the Merak star's power, Long Yu could continuously teleport for a short period of time. Although the teleportation distance was very short, it was a true means of crossing space, and it could be very useful in many situations. It seems that the information recorded in the Jade Slip that the Red Emperor placed in this illusory world is not ordinary. A random Great Desolate rank martial skill can actually communicate with the power of a star from beyond the heavens. Long Yu's eyes lit up. He was very clear that after this, the power of the entire North Snow Empire would leap. After the various forces obtained various martial skills and pill recipes, the overall strength of the empire would definitely increase. After this trip, of course, it was inevitable that the major forces would secretly trade with each other. Countless pill recipes, molds, and great desolate rank martial skills will be circulated among the major forces. Of course, the information obtained by the Red Emperor in the illusory world was a wealth to any force. If they wanted to exchange it, they would definitely have to take out something that corresponded to it. It's a pity that the Black Flame King and Long Yao are not fated to have these things. The corner of Long Yu's mouth curled up. He took 2 steps forward, raised his head, and saw the king-level Ice God Clan beast guarding the entrance of the giant palace. The body of the Ice God Clan beast was a hexagonal ice crystal. Long Yu did not know where its weak point was, but because he had dealt with this beast so many times, it was relatively easy to deal with. One had to know that in the Azura ancient palace, Long Yu had sealed tens of thousands of Ice God Clan beasts, including at least a few hundred king-level beasts. Phantom Spiral, Soul Seal Absorption. Long Yu raised his hand and used the 7th grade Divine Chain and the innate magic of the 5th heaven. These 2 moves were quite effective against King Realm cultivators. In addition, a bony arm reached out from the void and directly grabbed at the exotic beast of the Ice God Clan. The Ice God Clan's exotic beast in the King Realm roared and completely resisted the 3 means. However, it was still restrained by the 3 means. 9 Underworld Dragon Breath. Long Yu's strongest attack was unleashed. An awe-inspiring dragon breath of the 9 underworlds blasted the Ice God Clan's exotic beast back, causing it to fall into the snow at the entrance of the huge palace. Of course, just this alone was still insufficient to kill a King Realm beast. Long Yu immediately held the Nether Void Dragon Blade in his hand and directly used space piercing. Slash after slash. In just a few breaths' time, the Ice God Clan's exotic beast body was already riddled with holes by the Nether Void Dragon Blade. A wave of pure ice attribute divine characters flowed out from the holes and returned to the entire illusory world. Ice God Clan's exotic beasts did not have blood, and their bodies were composed of all kinds of pure energy. Most of the King Realm Ice God Clan's exotic beasts' energy came from the ice attribute divine characters in their bodies. After using space piercing 10 times, Long Yu held the Nether Void Dragon Blade and gradually walked towards the Ice God Clan's exotic beast that was riddled with holes. This exotic beast had completely lost the ability to fight, but it was not dead yet. When Long Yu slowly approached, the exotic beast suddenly exploded. A wave of ice attribute divine characters whistled out, wanting to envelop Long Yu and kill him. Unfortunately, Long Yu was already prepared for this. Merak Steps. With the intention of practicing this movement martial skill, Long Yu directly used space teleportation. As the Merak star's energy descended from the sky, Long Yu instantly dodged the opponent's ice attribute divine characters. Die! The Nether Void Dragon Blade was tightly held by Long Yu, and he instantly shattered the hexagonal ice crystal into pieces. Under the attack of an ancient top-tier combat weapon, even a King Realm exotic beast could not resist. Not to mention that in this illusory world, the Ice God Clan's exotic beast was also suppressed by the rules. When other exotic beasts came to the Shenwu world, their strength would be greatly suppressed. After all, this was the world of Juyo Dragon Emperor, and Juyo Dragon Emperor had a deep grudge against all the exotic beasts. The Ice God Clan's exotic beast was shattered into pieces under Long Yu's fierce attack. Only then did Long Yu send a message to Man Xian, Chi Hua, and the others to return. The operation went smoothly. In less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Long Yu had already eliminated all the obstacles blocking his way into the giant palace. It must be said, even Long Yu didn't expect himself to be this fast. A large part of the reason was because he had learned the Merak Steps. This movement martial skill was quite effective in battle, especially in a chaotic battle. It was the main reason why Long Yu was able to kill 15 people from the other forces so quickly. Someone is coming from my side. Boss, you go into the palace first. I'll be right back. The message from Man Xian's side caused Long Yu to frown. Soon, Hua, Xiao Ziying, and Hua Mei returned. Long Yu called out to them and had them enter the giant palace first to collect the 1,000 points. As for Long Yu, he quickly headed towards Man Xian's direction. Divine concealment. Long Yu quietly concealed his figure and soon found Man Xian in a snowy mountain in front of him. He was holding the storm magic blade and was quickly running towards the giant palace. Behind him, there were 5 young experts chasing after him. One of them was a woman from the King's Path secret territory, Luoyuan Mansion. Long Yu recognized her identity at a glance. The female beast cultivator of the King's realm was the daughter of the Luoyuan Mansion master, Yu Xianlan. The reason why Long Yu had a deep impression of the Luoyuan Mansion was because the Luoyuan Mansion and the Long Mansion were old friends. Although the Luoyuan Mansion and the Long Mansion could not be connected by marriage because of their different clans, Yu Xianlan and Long Yao had always called each other brother and sister. Yu Xianlan was also very protective of Long Yao. Yu Xianlan naturally did not have a good impression of Long Yu, who forced Long Yao to admit defeat on the martial arts practice stage. She bore a grudge against Long Yu because of the same experience. Man Xian, come in. Long Yu moved forward in stealth and brushed past Man Xian. He spoke softly and then raised his hand to summon the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. Long Yu had used up all his tricks. It was not realistic to fight Yu Xianlan now. The most important thing now was to escape. Man Xian stepped into the space of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower without hesitation and then flew towards the giant palace with the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. His destination was obvious to the onlookers, the palace. Stay here. Yu Xianlan was very happy to see Man Xian. She was happy to kill a guy from the Heavenly Mandate Manor to vent her anger. However, she did not expect Man Xian to run so fast. Her 2 killer moves were actually dodged by this guy with a strange body movement technique. Man Xian had already comprehended the basics of the Merak steps, and this movement technique had saved his life today. You want to stop the ancient Dragon Bone Tower? In your dreams. Long Yu also entered the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. He curled his lips. Even though the ancient Dragon Bone Tower in the illusionary realm was now very broken, it was not that easy to catch up with. Man Xian and Yu Xianlan's group of 5 were already quite a distance away. At this time, Long Yu accelerated the ancient Dragon Bone Tower and flew directly to the gate of the giant palace. He crashed into it. Unimpeded, Long Yu and Man Xian finally entered the giant palace at the last moment, avoiding the pursuit of Yu Xianlan and the other cultivators of the Luoyuan Mansion. After 2 hours, if Yu Xianlan was still waiting here, Long Yu would not be afraid. He had killed many cultivators from the King's Plain. Even though Yu Xianlan was much stronger than Long Yao, in Long Yu's eyes, she was not invincible. On the ice field, in the snow, at the gate of the giant palace, the 5 cultivators of the Luoyuan Mansion followed Yu Xianlan here. They all looked gloomy. They did not expect that Long Yu and his group had really taken this 1,000-point palace. Looks like Long Yu is quite strong. To be able to take this palace, he must have killed at least 1 beast of the King's Plain, Yu Xianlan said. Let's wait here for them. Another female beast cultivator said, the Long Mansion has always been on good terms with us. Now that we have met their enemy, we will not let them go. All of you stand guard. Yu Xianlan's eyes were ferocious. This Long Yu made my brother Long Yao admit defeat in front of everyone. He lost face. I have wanted to teach him a lesson for a long time, if not for Lady Yu Hanxin. But in this illusionary realm, we could drive him out. Even Lady Yu Hanxin can't do anything about it. Long Yu, there won't be many days left for this person to be proud of himself. However, before he dies, it will be quite interesting to be able to personally kill him once. Yu Xianlan stuck out her tongue and licked her lips. There was a seductive look in her eyes. She had always been very fond of Long Yao. He was a very cute little brother who had always helped her with a lot of things. Yu Xianlan could not tolerate Long Yao being bullied. Moreover, Yu Xianlan knew that the Long Mansion had launched a counterattack against Long Yu. Although it could not be carried out because of the Red Emperor and Yu Hanxin, once the Red Emperor left, then there would be Long Yu to watch. Stand guard. Keep an eye on the surroundings. Don't let anyone escape. The 5 cultivators of the Luoyuan Mansion, 1 King's Plain and 4 Seven Divine Realms, immediately stood guard at the entrance of the giant palace. The Luoyuan Mansion had already obtained a 1,000-point palace, so they were not in a hurry. They had plenty of time to stand guard. Once Long Yu and his group came out, it would be a battle to the death inside the giant palace. It is indeed a 1,000-point palace. Our luck is not bad. Great desolate level middle rank martial skill. Xiao Ziying and Hua, mayor, took a look at the jade slip in the palace. They were surprised. Among the 10,000-point palaces, only 2 had records of great desolate level middle rank martial skill. The other 8 were either elixir recipes or combat weapon molds. They did not expect that the first 1,000-point palace they came to would have a great desolate level middle rank martial skill. Celestial Star Shield. Chapter 726. Merak Footwork, Migrez Astral Shield. Xiaozing pondered for a moment and said aloud, "Could it be that the great desolate level martial skills recorded in the jade slip of the Scarlet Emperor's illusion are all a set? They are all named after the Big Dipper. It's not just naming." Hua, Mei continued. Merak Footwork seems to be able to borrow the power of the Merak stars. This Migrez Astral Shield should also be able to borrow the power of the Migrez stars. It's indeed a martial skill from the Red Emperor. It's so powerful. Besides Man Xian, Qi Hua and the other 2 were all impressed. Man Xian, on the other hand, did not care much about this martial skill. He had obtained many great desolate level martial skills from the Windstorm Demonic Sword Ruins, and they were definitely not weaker than the Migrez Astral Shield and Merak Footwork. However, only those who had comprehended the Demon's Sealing Divine Rune could learn them, and they needed to have sufficient cultivation to begin to comprehend them. Once he reached the 4 divine runes, Man Xian's strength would increase greatly. The inheritance of the Windstorm Demonic Sword was not to be messed around. If it was not for the conflict between the inheritance of the Demon's Sealing Divine Rune and the Demon's Sealing Divine Rune, Man Xian would not have had the chance to discover it. After all, this was the great desolate level warrior that Emo Zhaiqian had obtained. He deliberately lost it to Long Yu in order to befriend Long Yu. Long Yu also stepped into the palace. He turned around and knew what everyone was talking about. Migrez Astral Shield. We only have an hour. We probably won't be able to comprehend it. Long Yu's face turned solemn. There are strong enemies outside. They are the allies of the Long Mansion, Luoyuan Mansion, also one of the 4 mansions of the North Snow Mansion. Their leader is a woman called Yu Xianlan. It is said that she is ruthless and treats Long Yao very well. I guess she will lead her people and wait for us outside for an hour. In other words, after an hour, we will be besieged by the experts of Luoyuan Mansion. Chihua frowned slightly. That's right. Long Yu nodded. Let's have a good rest during these 2 hours. Let's try to recover to our peak condition. When we get out of here, each of us will deal with one of them. I will deal with the King Realm female monster called Yu Xianlan. As for the others, each of you deal with one of them. In the Luoyua house, besides Yu Xinlan, there were 4 other powerful warriors with 7 realms of divinity. Among the 4 mansions of the North Snow, the Luoyua house was one of the strongest. At least, they were not weaker than the Dragon House. Yu Xianlan had received all kinds of resources and inheritance from the Falling Moon Mansion. She was almost 30 years old. It was normal for her to reach the King's stage. It was said that she was very close to the middle stage of the King's stage. In other words, this woman almost didn't need any time between her attacks. She could continue to use the same attack in a short period of time. This was definitely the strongest opponent that Long Yu had ever encountered. After all, even the Scarlet Moon Valley Master, Duke Gui Xie, and the others were merely at the early stage of the King Realm. Work hard, rest, and recover. Long Yu wanted to see exactly what level his strength had attained, and if he would have any chance of winning against an opponent that was about to step into the intermediate stage of the King realm. Half an hour later, Long Yu and the others had completely recovered. A bright light flashed in his eyes as he opened them. Let's go out. If they're still outside, we should be able to catch them off guard. If they're not outside, we have to be careful at all times. Yes, boss. Let's go. Man Exine laughed. He was not afraid at all. He had even killed a beast with 7 realms of divinity. He might not lose to a cultivator with 7 realms of divinity. Of course, a cultivator with 7 realms of divinity was definitely stronger than a beast with 7 realms of divinity. But this was a good chance for them to train. The 5 of them stood up and left together. As soon as they stepped out of the palace, Long Yu saw 2 beautiful girls in blue guarding outside the palace. They were the 2 cultivators with 7 realms of divinity from the Luoyue house. They are out. The 2 girls were shocked when they saw Long Yu and the others. They thought that Long Yu and the others would definitely stay in the palace for 2 hours before coming out. But they didn't expect that Long Yu would appear after just an hour. It was obvious that he wanted to catch them off guard. Leave these 2 to me and Mei Er. Long Yu was about to kill the 2 girls, but Qihua stretched out his hand and stopped him. Qihua's eyes flashed with confidence. Brother Long, you need to use all your strength to deal with Yuexian Lan. Don't waste it on such a small thing. Forgive me for being so narrow-minded. Zheng, do you want to forgive me? Huh. Long Yu looked deeply at Qihua, then nodded. All right, I'll leave it to you. Qihua and Hua Mei Er had known each other for a long time. They definitely had a lot of cooperation. With their strength, it should not be a problem to deal with 2 cultivators with 7 realms of divinity. With that, Qihua and Hua Mei Er rushed out. Fire divine characters burst out from their bodies and attacked the 2 female demons from the Luoyue house. The bloodline of all the demon cultivators of the Luoyue house came from a demon moon beast. It was a demon beast with blue fur. It looked like a blue-furred lion, but it was more agile than a demon lion. Facing the attacks of Qihua and Hua Mei Er, the 2 female demons did not return to their original forms. Instead, they attacked, and 2 divine characters of light shot out. The demon cultivators of the Luoyue house had the talent to comprehend the power of the moonlight divine characters, which was one of the divine characters of light. Yuexian Lan, the one that Long Yu wanted to deal with, was said to have not only comprehended the power of the moonlight divine characters, but also the divine characters of seduction. This was a kind of divine character power that could confuse the opponent's mind. It belonged to the category of the divine characters of life. In other words, Yuexian Lan, a King Realm expert, was not only compatible with the divine characters of light, but also with the divine characters of life. She was a dual attribute expert. After a cultivator stepped into the King Path Arcana territory, they had a chance to achieve dual attribute compatibility. However, it required an extremely precious material. Only forces like Long Yao and Yuexian Lan could provide it. After mastering dual attribute compatibility, even the 7 divine powers had a chance to change. Innate divine powers that only had a single attribute could be integrated with a second attribute to become stronger. However, it could also backfire. Not all dual attributes could perfectly coexist. Some attributes might even conflict with each other, making it impossible to coexist. Yuexian Lan is here. Long Yu raised his head and looked away from Qihua and Hua Mei Er, who were still fighting. Instead, he looked in another direction and saw a blue streak of light rapidly flying over from that direction. Yuexian Lan. The strength of this King Stage expert was much stronger than what Long Yu had seen in the past. Moreover, even his speed was extremely fast. That wisp of blue flowing light, Long Yu squinted his eyes. Even if he used all his strength, without the Shura spirit boat, he would not be able to catch up with Yuexian Lan's speed. Man Ziying, help me stop the other 2 7 Realms divinity guys. Let me handle Yuexian Lan. As soon as he finished speaking, Long Yu moved his feet and shot out like a cannonball. He rushed towards Yuexian Lan, the blue flowing light figure that was emitting a powerful King Realm aura. Go to hell. Of course, Xian Lan saw Long Yu flying towards her. She was so angry that she laughed. This young man was too arrogant. Did he think that he could defeat her just because he defeated Long Yao? Arrogant young man. Today I will let you know what the real King Path Arcana territory is. Xian Lan shouted. Her entire body was covered in blue moonlight. Divine power, moonlight, obliteration. Serene blue moonlight, divine, characters condensed into rays of sword light that fell towards Long Yu like raindrops. In an instant, his entire body was enveloped by the sword light. Dragon Sparrow flash. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up slightly. He directly used the Dragon Sparrow flash. The sword beams directly pierced through his illusory body, piercing holes in the snowy ground that were so deep that the bottom could not be seen. Rise! Xian Lan's expression did not change. She stopped and floated in the snow in front of Long Yu. She raised her hand, and the moonlight rays that fell on the snow rose up and continued to attack Long Yu. Long Yu's Dragon Sparrow flash could only last for a second. Puff, puff, puff. Long Yu's body was pierced through by the moonlight rays. He turned into black smoke and disappeared. Black smoke? Xian Lan frowned. She knew that what she killed was just an illusion of Long Yu's doppelganger. She felt a headache coming on. That young man, did he use this illusion to deceive me and then run away? Humph! Look at my divine power, soul seal charm. Xian Lan's eyebrows relaxed. The power of the enchanting divine characters spread out from her body and covered an area with a radius of hundreds of meters. Long Yu, who was about to get close to Xian Lan, was covered by this skill. Even though he had a strong will, his soul seal was affected by this skill. Of course, his desolate ancient shadow did not have a soul seal. In other words, Xian Lan's soul seal charm was the same as the evil thought explosion that Long Yu had learned. It could find the real body of the enemy and see through their invisibility. Found it. Xian Lan curled up her lips. Her pretty face showed a charming expression. If so, go to hell. Divine power, moonlight, obliteration. A beam of moonlight sword light gathered in the air again. It dashed toward Long Yu's real body like a heavy rain. As expected, Xian Lan was not far from the middle stage of the King Realm. She used the same natural divine power twice in such a short period of time. Phantom release. Facing the wide coverage of the moonlight obliteration, Long Yu did not dare to face it directly. He could only use his body martial arts to avoid it. At this moment, it was useless to use Merak steps because the teleportation distance of Merak steps was too short. He could not escape from the attack range of the moonlight obliteration. Long Yu turned into a jet of black light and escaped from the attack range of the moonlight obliteration. However, the situation was very unfavorable for the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Xinlan's soul summoning seal had not only affected Long Yu, but also Qihua and Hua Mei, who were fighting. The two sides were evenly matched. However, because of Xian Lan's charm, the situation of the battle took a turn for the worse. Hua Mei and Qihua were both knocked away. They fell heavily on the snow and were badly injured. Man Xian and Xiao Xing, who had been standing guard at the side, were also affected by the Soul Seal's charm. Their attention was momentarily distracted, and two other 7 Divine Tier female Yao cultivators suddenly appeared, unleashing a barrage of attacks at the two. Chapter 727. Long Yu dodged Xinlan's attack, but he saw that Qihua and Hua Mei were knocked away by their opponents because of the Soul Seal. Man Xian and Xiao Xing were attacked at the same time. 2 female demonic cultivators in the 7 realms of divinity attacked them from the front and the back. But at this moment, Xiao Xing raised her hand. Purification of water flow. With this move, she immediately removed herself from the bewitching state. Then, she quickly used another innate divine ability, Water Prison. This simple move was shining brilliantly at this moment. Originally, This move could only be used against a single person when it was a primary level mystic ability. But now, this move had already become a middle-level mystic ability. Water Prison. The divine characters of Water Flow appeared in the air and trapped 4 female, demonic cultivators in the 7 realms of divinity. She had trapped 4 of them by herself. Recovery of Water Flow. During this time, Qiao Ziying used another natural technique. The power of the divine characters of Water Flow flowed into Qihua and Hua, Mei Er's bodies to heal their wounds. Unfortunately, this was only a primary technique and could not heal their wounds completely, but it did help them regain their fighting capacity. Then, Man Xian shook his head and woke up from the Soul Seal's charm. Without hesitation, he held the Storm Demon Blade tightly and slashed at one of the opponents in the 7 realms of divinity. In an instant, the 4 were out of danger. They fell back into the fierce battle. Seeing this, Long Yu was relieved. It seemed that inviting Qiao Ziying to help the Heavenly Mandate Manor was the right decision. But it did not mean that the Heavenly Mandate Manor had won this battle. Once something happened to Long Yu, no matter how well Qiao Ziying and the others performed, it would be useless. If so, space penetration. Long Yu clenched his fists. His eyes shone with a sharp light. The Nether Dragon Blade condensed into a pitch-black sharp blade, which suddenly appeared behind Yu Xinlan. Moonlight Shield. Yu Xinlan sneered disdainfully. A shield made of moonlight divine characters appeared behind her, and it blocked the Dark Void Dragon Blade. Although the Moonlight Shield was broken by the Nether Dragon Blade, it meant that Long Yu's space piercing was not a threat to Yu Xinlan. Yu Xianlan could not only sense Long Yu's sneak attack, but she could also create a Moonlight Shield to block his attacks. Just this Moonlight Shield alone was almost unsolvable for Long Yu. After all, she was an expert that was about to step into the intermediate stage of the King Realm, so she practically didn't have much time before she executed any ability. Innate mystic abilities, great desolate grade martial skills, divine chains. Everything could be executed to his heart's content. This was a true Emperor Path secret realm cultivator. Moreover, all of Yu Xinlan's techniques were much more powerful than Long Yao's. After all, she had been cultivating for a longer time than Long Yao, so her inner world was definitely stronger than Long Yao's. Under the moonlight, nothing can escape. Yu Xinlan's eyes were filled with disdain. She walked towards Long Yu and raised her hand. A beam of moonlight fell from the sky and covered Long Yu. Divine chains. This divine chains actually trapped Long Yu in that beam of moonlight, and he couldn't move. Even though it was only an 8th grade divine chain, it had completely restrained Long Yu. Moonlight. Obliteration. Yu Xinlan's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The moonlight turned into sword radiance and once again came down. At this moment, Long Yu couldn't move at all. The sword radiance of the moonlight rushed towards Long Yu, stirring up a horrifying airflow. Even with the Dragon Sparrow Flash, he couldn't completely dodge this attack. Merak Steps, it's useless. The barrier of death. I'm afraid it can't block so many moonlight sword radiance. If that's the case, then I can only, in this dangerous situation. Long Yu's mind was even more agile. He connected his mind with the Netherworld Dragon Blade, and then he activated the Netherworld Dragon Blade to penetrate through space again. This time, the target of the Netherworld Dragon Blade wasn't Yu Xinlan, but the moonlight that was covering Long Yu. The piercing power of the Netherworld Dragon Blade was extremely strong. The next moment, the moonlight god chains that were trapping Long Yu were broken, and an opening appeared. The next moment, Long Yu finally found an opening. He moved his feet slightly and used the Merak Steps teleportation. With the opening created by the Netherworld Dragon Blade, Long Yu finally broke the 8th grade divine chains of Yu Xinlan. He used the Merak Steps to escape. Ancient Shadow. Long Yu directly created another Ancient Shadow, and that Ancient Shadow floated above Long Yu's head. It waved its hand and created the barrier of the underworld, the reincarnation barrier, and the barrier of death. Although Long Yu wasn't as powerful as a King Realm warrior in the middle stage, he could still resist the moonlight sword radiance. As long as he could escape from the divine chains of moonlight, Yuxinlan's moonlight obliteration would not be that scary. Even if he used the divine chains of moonlight many times, he would still be able to break it. An ancient shadow, with all kinds of defensive skills, appeared above Long Yu's head. The moonlight sword light that filled the sky was directly blocked by this ancient afterimage. As for Long Yu himself, he rapidly retreated from his original position. After 3 consecutive moonlight obliterations, they didn't even manage to touch the corner of Long Yu's robes. In fact, he even used the Soul Imprint Charm and the Moonlight God Chains. Long Yu is indeed powerful. No wonder you can bully my brother Long Yu. Yuxinlan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. However, this is the end. Even if you have all kinds of skills, how many times can you use them? Next die. The divine chains of moonlight fell from the sky again, covering Long Yu, and then the moonlight obliteration came again. The 4th obliteration. Long Yu's expression did not change. He still used the same skills as before and completely dodged Yuxinlan's attack. He could use space penetration 10 times in a row, and he could create 4 ancient shadows in total. If his opponent used this skill, he could avoid it more than once. However, Long Yu knew that if this continued, he would definitely die. If he wanted to win, he had to fight back. How could he fight back? Long Yu looked at the shadows floating around on the snowy ground and gradually came up with an idea, stubborn. Unfortunately, he is just a kid in the mystery land. Yuxianlan stood there proudly. She raised one of her hands and did not give Long Yu any chance. The moonlight came down again. With her horrifying power of the Emperor Path's secret realm, she could perform the same movement for dozens of times without getting tired. The divine chains of moonlight shrouded Long Yu again with space penetration and escaped from the chains. However, the next moment, he did not use the ancient shadows to block the attacks of the moonlight swords. Instead, he flew towards Yuxinlan, and there was a faint dragon sparrow on his body, which made him much faster. However, how could the speed of the flash of Dragon Sparrow compare to the Phantom Release? Even with the Phantom Release, he could barely avoid the attack range of the Moonlight Obliteration. Now that he used the Dance of Dragon Sparrow, it was impossible for him to avoid his opponent's attack. Long Yu had used the Phantom Release just now, so of course he could not use it again. However, even though Long Yu was only using the Dragon Sparrow dance, his speed was not slow. Coupled with the short-distance teleportation of the Merak Steppes, he was able to forcibly fly to the edge of the sword light that filled the sky in a short period of time. He raised his hand. Hand of the Nine Nether. A middle-rank technique suddenly appeared. A creepy white bone arm appeared out of nowhere, grabbing towards Yuxinlan, who was standing proudly in the air. Then, a bunch of 9 Nether characters bloomed under Yuxinlan's feet. Rank 7 God Chain, Nether Spiral, Soul Seal Absorption. The 5 rainbow characters dashed to Yuxinlan within a second. At last, Space Penetration. The blade of Nether Void Dragon drew a beam of fierce light, stabbing towards Yuxinlan's neck. You are too naive after all. Yuxinlan showed a cruel smile. She felt Long Yu's outburst, but on her face was disdain from the bottom of her heart. The gap between them was too big for her. Moonlight. Purification. A beam of moonlight descended from the sky, dispersing the 9 Nether Hand in the void. Not only that, but it also destroyed the rainbow spirit-absorbing runes, dispelling Long Yu's 2 innate mystic abilities. Then the Shield of Moonlight. The blade of Nether Void Dragon Space Penetration was blocked again. Even though the Shield of Moonlight was broken, the blade of Nether Void Dragon was blocked outside, losing its sharpness. Moonlight, make me agile. Moonlight bloomed under Yuxinlan's feet, making her look pure and holy. At the same time, the nether spiral that bloomed under her feet was absorbed by the moonlight. Yuxinlan easily broke all of Long Yu's powerful techniques. In Yuxinlan's eyes, there was disdain. A guy at the secret territory of divinity dared to challenge her? Ridiculous. However, the next second, her face changed. She suddenly felt uncomfortable inside her body. It seemed when Long Yu performed all kinds of techniques, some strange power got into her body. Hand of the Nine Nether. The middle-rank technique, Hand of the Nine Nether, was dispelled by Yuxinlan. However, the Nether God character still got into her body and exploded at this moment. Yuxinlan performed her technique subconsciously. Moonlight Purification. Try to dispel the Nether God character's power that was about to explode inside her body. For her, it was a piece of cake. Did he think he could hurt Yuxinlan with this? In his dreams. Unfortunately, Long Yu did not only have this one move up his sleeves. When she was concentrating her power to deal with the Nether God characters inside her body, Long Yu flew over. His shadow appeared under Yuxinlan's feet. Now, shadow kill skill kill. It was just a shadow, but at this moment, the shadow under Yuxinlan suddenly exploded. It became a Nether God character, which turned into a sharp blade, stabbing at Yuxinlan's back. What? Yuxinlan's face changed. She operated the Nether God characters faster. Moonlight Purification. The Nether God characters inside her body were purified. Then, when the shadow kill skill was only 1 inch away from her, a shield of moonlight appeared. Bang! The shadow kill turned into a sharp blade, but it was blocked by the moonlight shield. It was half an inch away from killing Yuxinlan before she could react. However, it was still half an inch away. Yuxinlan's reaction was not slow. She was even faster than Long Yu, because the Nether God characters in her body moved faster than Long Yu. After all, she was a powerful cultivator from the King Path's secret territory. After that, Long Yu's body did not get out of the range of the moonlight slaughter. Chapter 728. Tom seemed to stand still at this moment. In the distance, Chihua, Man Xian, Mei and Xiaoxing were in a stalemate with their opponents. But now this was the scene in front of them. Long Yu's heart was pierced by countless swords of moonlight. Besides, they knew that it was not Long Yu's ancient shadows that were being hit, but his real body. Since Yuxinlan used the charm of the Soul Seal, he could not use the ancient shadows to deceive her anymore. Moreover, Long Yu had already condensed 4 primordial shadows just now. In other words, he wouldn't be able to condense any more primordial shadows in a short period of time. The one who would be hit now would definitely be Long Yu himself. Is he going to die? Xiaoxing was shocked. She had never seen Long Yu in such a situation since she met Long Yu. But then she thought it was reasonable. At the end of the day, Long Yu was only at the 4 paths of Divinity Realm. His opponent was close to the middle stage of the King Realm. The gap between them was too big. Even if Long Yu failed, no one would think that he was too weak. They would only feel sorry for him. If Long Yu had cultivated for the same time as Yuxinlan, he would definitely be able to defeat Yuxinlan. Forget it. It is good enough to get 1,000 points. The Merak Steps and the Migrez Star Shield are 2 desolate level martial skills. The strength of the Heavenly Mandate Manor will be further improved. Chihua thought. Chihua thought to himself. He did not have any complaints about Long Yu's failure. To be able to come this far was already very impressive. One must know that they had killed the Black Flame King and Long Yao in the Scarlet Emperor's illusory realm, 2 King Realm experts. When Long Yu's heart was pierced by 10,000 swords, Chihua was disheartened. However, on the other side, Man Xian suddenly roared, "Huazi, what are you doing? Hurry up and kill your opponent." Only Man Xian was still full of fighting spirit. He swung the Tempest Fiend's saber in his hand and unleashed the sealing runes, forcing the 7 divine tier female Yao cultivators back. He snorted coldly. "Our brother Long won't die so easily." Hearing Man Xian's words, Chihua's heart shook. Indeed, just like what Man Xian said, would Long Yu really die like this? No. Chihua's heart was filled with hope. Long Yu had never disappointed him. Even if he died here, he would only lose the qualification to continue fighting for the Jade Slip. He would not really lose his life. Under such circumstances, Chihua knew that he could not lose his fighting spirit. "Come on, May Air, let's continue killing." Chihua's original Heavenly Fire Divine runes burst out. The Heavenly Fire battle armor appeared on his body, and a wave of heat blasted out. The battle in the distance became even more intense, but Long Yu smiled. After being pierced by thousands of swords, Long Yu curled up the corner of his mouth. When a moonlight sword radiance was about to hit him, he created the barrier of death in time. With the help of the realm of death, he was able to defend himself. Yu Xianlan's attack did not kill him. Although he was badly wounded, Long Yu did not turn into white light and disappear. It seemed like he had to use his trump card. He wanted to use this method to fight for the last 10,000 jade slips. But if he could not defeat Yu Xianlan, what right did he have to go to the palace of 10,000? Originally, Long Yu wanted to hide his trump card, but it seemed like he could not do that now. That series of attacks was only half an inch away from defeating Yu Xianlan. If he did not use his trump card, Long Yu would definitely die today. Kill. Long Yu opened his eyes, and a murderous look appeared in his eyes. Humph, you are still alive, but you are so badly wounded, and you still want to kill me? Don't you think it is ridiculous? Yu Xianlan looked at Long Yu floating in the air with a murderous look in her eyes. She sneered and said, "Shadow kill? You rely on your own shadow. That is out of my expectation, but I will not give you any chance to get close to me." Boom! Yu Xianlan raised her hand, and a beam of moonlight shot out. Long Yu was blown away. Long Yu's shadow, which was near Yu Xianlan, was blown away. Long Yu couldn't use his shadow kill skill to attack Yu Xianlan. Long Yu, who was badly wounded, could not fight back at all. He was blown away and fell on the snow, creating a deep pit. Next, die for me. You were able to survive the first attack, but do you think you can withstand his second time? Yu Xianlan gathered moonlight godly characters in her hands. Then she sneered and said, "Moonlight obliteration." Thousands of moonlight sword lights appeared in the sky again and attacked Long Yu. It was like a rain of arrows. He had nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. If nothing went wrong, Long Yu, who was badly wounded, would not be able to block this attack. He would die. However, something unexpected happened. Just when a myriad of moonlight sword beams began to condense, a burst of terrifying and dense aura suddenly erupted from Long Yu's location. The power of 9 nether divine characters condensed behind him, gradually condensing into the shape of a 9 nether dragon. Dragon of 9 underworlds, real spirit, who would use real spirits to fight in the secret realm of divine powers or secret realm of King Path. Unless it was a real spirit with horrible effects. As for the true spirit of the 9 underworlds, it was undoubtedly Long Yu's final trump card. This true spirit could only be condensed once a month, but every time it appeared, Long Yu would be able to change the course of the battle. The real spirit of the dragon of 9 underworlds appeared. Before it was fully formed, Yu Xinlan was already shocked. Not only her, everyone around Long Yu was shocked at the same time. Everyone's mind was blank. Space piercing. Long Yu, who was badly wounded, raised his hand. The blade of dragon of nether void sliced through the air and pierced Yu Xianlan's throat. Yu Xianlan, who was shocked, did not have any time to defend herself. She was killed by Long Yu's attack. She turned into white light and disappeared. Under normal circumstances, a strong man who was close to the middle stage of the King Realm would not be hurt even if he stood still and let 4 attacks from people in the secret realm hit him. After all, the bodies of people in the King Realm were very strong. However, what Long Yu used was the space piercing. In his hand was a powerful weapon of the highest grade from the ancient times, the blade of dragon of 9 underworlds. The real spirit of dragon of 9 underworlds appeared and killed Yu Xianlan with 1 attack. As Yu Xianlan turned into white light and disappeared, the sword radiance of the moonlight also turned into wind and disappeared in the air. However, Long Yu and the others were not in a good situation. The reason was none other than the appearance of the true spirit of the 9 abyss dragon intimidated everyone. Moreover, the lower one's cultivation, the longer the duration of the shock would be. In other words, Chihua, Man Xian, and the other 4 people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor were shocked longer than the other 4 people in the 7 realms of divine powers. The attack that Long Yu used on Xianlong was the last time he used the space piercing. He was seriously injured and could barely move. He could not help Man Xian and the others except to control the blade of dragon of 9 underworlds. Under such circumstances, as long as the 4 people in the 7 realms of divine powers woke up first, Qihua, Man Xian, and the others would definitely die. Then, the seriously injured Long Yu would not be able to escape. Shadow Kill Skill. The essence of the ancient Shadow Kill. This is the Transcendence realm. What if I cultivate it to the Transcendent realm? Long Yu's eyes lit up. He could feel that his understanding of the ancient Shadow Kill was about to reach the next level, which made him happy. Perhaps it was due to Long Yu's character, but the speed at which he comprehended the ancient Desolate Shadow Kill was extremely fast. The Transcendent realm. At this moment, Long Yu had finally comprehended the ancient Shadow Kill to the last level and reached the Transcendent realm. Since he had comprehended the 9 underworlds of dragon of 9 underworlds to the Transcendent realm, Long Yu had finally comprehended the ancient Shadow Kill to the last level and reached the Transcendent realm. The ancient Shadow Kill that he had comprehended to the Transcendent realm had an even more horrifying ability. Shadow Manipulation, Shadow Transformation. These 2 abilities made the ancient Shadow Kill worthy of its name. Long Yu could not use Shadow Transformation yet, but Shadow Manipulation, Kill. Long Yu raised his hand with difficulty. The divine characters of 9 underworlds spread out from his body and controlled the shadows of the 4 people in the 7 realms of divine powers in the distance. Then, the 4 shadows launched a sudden attack. The divine characters of 9 underworlds turned into sharp blades and sliced through the 4 people's necks, cutting off their heads. 4 rays of white light lit up at the same time. However, Long Yu's strength had been completely exhausted. His entire body had sunk into a state of unconsciousness. Only the self-healing divine runes within his body were still tirelessly circulating, healing his heavily injured body. Unfortunately, he was too heavily injured, and the self-healing divine characters that he had comprehended were not complete. The self-healing divine characters that he had obtained from the Heavenly Mandate Island only had less than half of their power. These incomplete divine characters were quite common in the Shenwu world. Most of the martial cultivators in the secret realms of divine powers had comprehended the power of these divine characters. It was obvious that their power was not enough. If it weren't for the Death Realm body refinement supporting Long Yu, he would have been dead by now after being pierced through by Xinlong's moonlight obliteration. Although his recovery was slow, at least he still had a chance of survival. The true spirit of the dragon of 9 underworlds disappeared after it appeared. Around 5 breaths later, Qihua, Man Xian, Qiao Xing, and Hua Meier finally regained consciousness. They didn't realize what was going on before they were shocked by the terrifying aura of the true spirit of the dragon of 9 underworlds. Now that they had regained consciousness, they were all extremely shocked. What happened just now? Where are the people of the Falling Moon Mansion? Haha, I knew it. Brother Long exploded at the crucial moment and killed them all in one go. Is he really dead? Let's go check on Brother Long. The 4 didn't hesitate and immediately ran towards Long Yu. Qiao Xing waved her hand, and the divine characters of water surrounded Long Yu's body and started to nourish him. I've just used the water recovery, so I can't use it now. We need to find a place to rest and wait for Long Yu to recover. I can feel that he will fully recover very soon. Chapter 729. Even with the help of Qiao Xing's water recovery and the self-healing rune in Long Yu's body, it took half a day for Long Yu to recover. When Long Yu woke up, the 5 of them were still in the snowy mountains. They opened up a cave in the snowy mountains and hid in it to avoid being seen by others. Brother Long, you're awake. When Man Xian saw Long Yu opening his eyes, he immediately cried out in joy and ran over. How long has it been? Long Yu asked subconsciously. Half a day. Now we have one last day to fight for the other jade tags. Qiao Xing answered. There's only one day left. Long Yu's eyes lit up. In this case, we won't have a share of those palaces with 1,000 points. It's time to go to the central palace with 10,000 points. Brother Long, can you still use the move that you used to kill Yuxinlan? Chihua asked. If I can still use it, the last palace will be easy. No. Long Yu tried and then shook his head. He also hoped that the real spirit of the Dragon of 9 Underworlds would not need to wait for a month in the Red Emperor's dreamland. Unfortunately, it was not so. In reality, the real spirit of the Dragon of 9 Underworlds could only be summoned once a month. In the Red Emperor's dreamland, it was the same. Of course, if it was used in the dreamland, it would not affect the real world. In other words, after leaving the Red Emperor's dreamland, Long Yu could still form the real spirit of the Dragon of 9 Underworlds in reality. What Long Yu was worried about now was that his biggest trump card, the real spirit of the Dragon of 9 Underworlds, was finally exposed. After the fight for the Jade Tags in the Red Emperor's dreamland was over, should he go to other places to train? If the people of the North Snow Dynasty knew him too well, it would be very dangerous to train in the dynasty. I'll think about it after this. Long Yu shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Zhang Xian tried to circulate the energy within his body. Everything had already recovered. The only thing left to do now was to compete for the 10,000 points Jade Slip Palace. He should still be able to make it in time if he rushed over now. It's a pity. If Brother Long can't use that move, the last palace will be too difficult. Chihua sighed. No, we still have a chance. Let's go. Long Yu smiled. In this Scarlet Emperor's illusion, it's not like we don't have any allies. You're talking about the Azure Manners, Shu Chan? Xiao Zing's eyes lit up. No matter which faction it was, they would want to obtain the last 10,000 points of the palace. After all, it contained a desolate rank upper rank martial skill. A superior great desolate grade martial skill. One should know that such a level of martial skill had never appeared even in top residences like the Dragon Residence and the Falling Moon Residence. This was a benefit that one of the strongest 5 emperors of Shunwu world, the Red Emperor, had brought to his disciple Yuhan Xin. Of course, Xiao Zing was also very interested. That's right. Long Yu nodded. Although he hadn't seen Shu Chan yet, he believed that Shu Chan wouldn't be killed halfway through. It was very likely that he and Shu Chan would meet near the last 10,000 points of the palace. Let's go. We'll go there in secret and approach without alerting anyone. Long Yu took out the Azure Spirit Boat and brought the 4 of them towards the center of the Scarlet Emperor's fantasy realm. At the center of the Red Emperor illusion, where the final palace was located, those who were able to come to the vicinity of this palace were all great forces that were second to none in the entire North Snow Empire. Sky Hall. The genius, Jing Tianxing, was walking leisurely in midair. Not far in front of him was a huge floating palace. That was the center of the Scarlet Thearcha's illusory realm, where the 10,000 jade slips were stored. Jing Tianxing had entered the top 10,000 in the Strongest King Realm competition 5 years ago. Now, he was even stronger and not far from the Emperor Realm. Jing Tianxing was also the appointed successor of the powerful Sky Hall of the North Snow Empire. Jing Tianxing, who was dressed in white, was leisurely walking in the air. Behind him were 4 7 Daos divinity realm experts. All of them looked at Jing Tianxing with eyes full of respect. Even though they were all from the Sky Path Prefecture, they were still extremely afraid of Jing Tianxing. That was because his talent was too monstrous. Tell me, who would have the guts to compete with my Sky Hall for the last Jade Scrolls? Jing Tianxing said with great interest. He looked in front of him. The 10,000 points of the floating palace had just opened. 3 powerful 8-clawed flying bats of the late-stage king realm appeared in front of the floating palace. Only one force could obtain the great desolate grade martial skill Jade Scrolls. Even though he had opened 2 Scarlet Emperor illusory realms, there wasn't even a single king realm expert who entered the 3rd Scarlet Emperor illusory realm. If there was, he wouldn't have dropped out of the top 100 in the Imperial Capital Grand Meet. The 1,000 points of the palace was guarded by the King Path Secret Realm beasts. Those who could open the 1,000 points of the palace were already lucky. As for the last 10,000 points of the palace, it was impossible for them to touch it. 3 8-clawed flying bats of the late-stage king realm. Even if Long Yao, the Black Flame King, and the others came, they might not be able to handle one of them. Even an expert like Yu Xinlan might only be able to fight to a draw with one of them. The 3 beasts were extremely powerful. However, this was only for ordinary people. To Jing Tianxing, these 3 exotic beasts were nothing. Late-stage king realm? Jing Tianxing was also at the late-stage king realm, or even the peak of the king realm. He was only 1 step away from the emperor realm. In the Red Emperor illusions, the strength of the beasts was suppressed just like in Shunwu world. Jing Tianxing did not feel any pressure facing 3 of them. Young master, are we not going to kill the beasts? One of the white-clothed youths behind Jing Tianxing asked Jing Tianxing. What's the rush? Jing Tianxing smiled mysteriously. If I were to fight now, it would take me a while to defeat the 3 beasts. If someone else were to take advantage of us, it would be troublesome. So, I will wait for the others to show up. If one comes, I will kill one. If a pair comes, I will kill both. Young master, you're the strongest person in this illusions. The others will definitely team up against us, right? Another person asked. So what if they team up? Jing Tianxing's face showed unparalleled confidence. Even if all the other King Realm experts team up, I have nothing to fear. After all, if they want to deal with 3 late-stage King Realm beasts, without me, can they do it? It was no wonder Jing Tianxing didn't plan on making a move against the 3 guardian exotic beasts. It turned out that he had included the 3 exotic beasts in his plan. If Jing Tianxing died, it would be extremely difficult to deal with the 3 beasts. Killing Jing Tianxing was easier said than done. If both sides were to suffer, who would be able to deal with the 3 guardian beasts? Stand guard at the side. If anyone comes, tell them that the Sky Hall wants this great desolate grade martial skill. Jing Tianxing calmly ordered. If you're willing to stand on my side, you'll be able to buy the grand desolate grade upper rank martial skill cultivation method from us, as long as you're willing to pay enough Shinbi. If you're not willing to stand on my side, I'll kill them immediately. Yes. The 4 young men in white behind him responded in unison and spread out. They were from the Sky Hall, and with Jing Tianxing standing behind them, no one would dare to attack them immediately. Who knew if Jing Tianxing was behind them? Therefore, there was definitely time for negotiation. It all depended on whether the other side accepted it or not. Those who could emerge victorious from the battle for the 1,000 points were undoubtedly the best of the North Snow Empire. It was impossible for those who were not from the 8 villages and 4 manors to achieve this. At this moment, an expert from another force finally arrived. It was a team with only 3 people left. The leader was a mid-stage King Realm genius from one of the North Snow 8 manors and 4 manors. He was a powerful demonic cultivator. The one in front, stop. A 7 Daos divine realm genius from the Sky Hall appeared in front of the 3. He was dressed in white and said indifferently, the young master has ordered that if you are willing to help the young master obtain the final jade slip, you will have to pay a certain amount of Shinbi to buy a cultivation jade slip of the Great Desolate grade martial skill. The 3 people's expressions changed slightly. How could Jing Tianxing be so arrogant? How many Shinbi? The leader, a mid-stage King Realm burly man, asked. He was a demonic cultivator who had transformed into human form. His eyes shone with shrewdness. He was not so easily deceived. If Jing Tianxing wanted to use him, he would have to see what he offered first. 1 million. The white-robed youth from the Sky Hall said indifferently in bid. 1 million Shinbi. This was a huge sum. Even for the North Snow 8 manors, it was equivalent to a year's expenditure. However, the Great Desolate grade martial skill was definitely worth this price. How do I know you won't go back on your word? The burly man asked indifferently, his expression unchanged. An upper Desolate grade martial skill was extremely valuable. The entire North Snow Empire did not have one yet. 1 million Shinbi was still within the acceptable range. However, the burly man was not sure if the Sky Hall would go back on their word. Even if the Sky Hall went back on their word, it would be a huge blow to their reputation. However, the burly man's manor was not on friendly terms with the Sky Hall. Even if they were enemies, the Sky Hall should not be afraid, right? Moreover, this was after helping Jing Tianxing obtain the upper desolate grade martial skill. In the Scarlet Emperor's illusory realm, Jing Tianxing was the strongest, but in the outside world, the major forces were more or less the same. The top experts were all in the Emperor realm, and whoever obtained an upper rank, great desolate rank martial skill would be slightly stronger. Of course, I won't go back on my word. The white-robed youth from the Sky Hall smiled faintly. Don't forget who created this illusion. Lord Red Emperor must have seen everything. How would we dare go back on our word in front of Lord Red Emperor? It's a deal. The burly man sneered and agreed. Chapter 730. It was not strange for the giant Elephant King to agree to Jing Tianxing's conditions. If he relied on himself, the chances of him obtaining the superior grade, great desolate grade martial skill were not high. Now that he agreed to stand on Jing Tianxing's side, it would be much easier for him to obtain the superior grade, great desolate grade martial skill if he worked together with Jing Tianxing. Even if he had to spend 1,000,000 Shinbi, it would still be worth it. However, the Mammoth King naturally wouldn't stand completely on Jing Tianxing's side, because he knew very well that if too many people helped Jing Tianxing, then the Sky Passage estate would be the biggest winner this time. 1,000,000 divine coins from each of the powers, in addition to the reward from the Red Emperor, who had the highest score in the illusory realm. It was enough to make the Sky Hall Manor the strongest power in the entire North Snow Empire. The giant Elephant King naturally wasn't that stupid. Thus, even though he'd agreed for the time being, he'd still have to observe the situation before deciding what to do. Scenes like this happened from time to time around the central, floating final throne hall. Soon, 3 King Realm experts, including the giant Elephant King, stood on Jing Tianxing's side. In addition to the giant Elephant King, the other 2 were in the early stage of the King Realm. Their strength was similar to Long Yao's, but the 3 of them together were definitely a powerful force. Of course, there were times when the 4 youths from the Sky Way Manor failed to negotiate with the people who had come from all over the world. In the end, there were 4 King Realm genius experts around Jing Tianxing, including himself, while only 3 of the young geniuses he had sent out had returned. The last one was dead. I'm afraid it's those forces that are hostile to the Heavenly Way Manor. Jing Tianxing smiled faintly and did not mind it at all. With the House of Demons as the leader, there should be a few monarch-level geniuses standing against us. Hee, the 4 of us are enough. No matter who comes, only death awaits them. The giant Elephant King laughed arrogantly. The guy from a sect of monsters is also at the middle stage of the King Realm. Jing Tianxing reminded him. I've sparred with him before, and it was difficult to determine the victor. The giant Elephant King smiled and said, with me here, that guy can forget about escaping. Not to mention, Jing Tianxing is also here. I'm afraid you can finish him off in one move. Jing Tianxing smiled faintly and did not comment. In the end, no one else appeared around the palace. Of course, the people from the sect of monsters would not be so unlucky as to directly attack Jing Tianxing and the other 3. Hence, they hid in the distance. There were quite a number of people who had the same thought as the sect of demons, including Shu Chan and Long Yu. However, when Long Yu arrived near the Ultimate Treasure Palace, he didn't see Shu Chan. Instead, he saw a team from another force. Snow Civet Manor. Yo, it's actually little brother Long Yu. A beautiful girl wearing a snow-white dress appeared in front of Long Yu. It was the genius of the Snow Civet Manor, Bai Shui. At this moment, Long Yu was leading 5 people to approach the final treasured palace from the ground. However, they were discovered by the Snow Civet Manor's people. Even though Long Yu had used divine concealment, it was of no use. Bai Shui had a very powerful detection god art. Snow. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and immediately became vigilant. He knew that in the last round of the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting, He had tortured the 3 girls of the Snow Civet Manor very badly. Yes, those 3 girls were now following behind Bai Shui. Now that Bai Shui had appeared, she was most likely an enemy. Don't be nervous, little brother Long Yu. Bai Shui felt Long Yu's vigilance, but she smiled and waved her hand. Big sister has no ill intentions towards you now. Do you know Jing Tianqing? That guy wants to monopolize the final treasure palace. We should all join forces and get rid of him first. So, the enmity between the Snow Civet Manor and the Sky Traveler Manor isn't small. Long Yu smiled, but he didn't let down his vigilance at all. He had heard that the Snow Civet Manor and the Sky Traveler Manor didn't get along. If the situation near the final treasure palace was really like what Bai Shui said, then it wasn't strange for Bai Shui to choose to cooperate with him. However, the problem was that Long Yu didn't know if what Bai Shui said was true or false. Therefore, he had to be vigilant in his heart. After defeating Yu Xinlan, Long Yu had already used up his trump card. If he wasn't cautious now, he might miss the opportunity to enter the final treasure palace. It's not small. Bai Shui raised her head and looked at the final treasured palace in the sky. You also know that this is the greatest opportunity for our North Snow Empire to transform. If the Sky Traveler Manor obtains the final treasure palace, they will rise to the top. At that time, the other forces will only be qualified to carry their shoes. A high desolate rank martial skill was one aspect. The other aspect was the reward of the Red Emperor, who ranked first in points. Since the Red Emperor had come here personally, his reward would definitely not be trash. In fact, its value would definitely be higher than a high desolate rank martial skill. What should we do? Should we charge forward and deal with Jing Tianqing? Long Yu's lips curled as he asked. If that was the case, he would not bother to participate. Jing Tianqing was a strong warrior in the later stage of the King Realm. His inner world had already produced the power of origin. Even if you were to face a genius like Yu Xinlan, he would only need one move to defeat her. As for an advanced King Realm expert, Long Yu was still quite afraid. He had defeated Long Yao, but that didn't mean he could defeat someone like Jing Tianqing. Jing Tianqing was one of the top 10,000 experts in the strongest King Realm. Moreover, that was 5 years ago. How strong would Jing Tianqing be now? No one knew. Of course not. We just need to wait. Bai Shui shook her head and smiled. As time passes, Jing Tianqing will definitely not be able to control himself and fight the 3 guardians of the final treasure palace. At that time, we will act together. I have already contacted the other forces. At least 4 King Realm geniuses are already prepared. Long Yu nodded. He believed what Bai Shui said because she had no reason to lie to him. If Bai Shui wanted to frame him, she would have already done so. Of course, Bai Shui's biggest goal was probably to use Long Yu as cannon fodder. But was that possible? The other King Realm experts that Bai Shui had contacted would definitely not be willing to be cannon fodder. Just as Long Yu was thinking about this, Bai Shui added, "Our forces have reached an agreement. No matter who wins the final treasured palace, the upper desolate level martial skill must be shared unconditionally. Apart from that, the Red Emperor's reward for ranking first will also be shared according to the conditions." This agreement? Long Yu was a little surprised. It was rare for Bai Shui to have the ability to persuade the other forces to accept such a condition. In this way, besides Jing Tianqing's group, everyone else was on the same side. Long Yu felt that sharing the upper desolate level martial skill was not bad. At least as long as Jing Tianqing did not step into the final treasured palace, he would be able to get the upper desolate level martial skill. However, he did not know what the Red Emperor's reward for ranking first in the illusory realm would be. I agree. Long Yu nodded his head in agreement. This agreement wasn't disadvantageous to him. In any case, with his strength, it would be extremely difficult for him to fight for the final treasured palace. It would be difficult for him to deal with any King Realm expert present, let alone 7 or 8 King Realm experts present. Even if he and Shu Chan teamed up, it would be difficult for them to succeed. All right, in that case, your Heavenly Mandate Manor and Shura Manor will act together. Shu Chan is on standby, not far away. You can go and find her. Bai Shui pointed in a direction in the dense forest. Okay, Long Yu nodded, then led his people away from Bai Shui and ran toward Shu Chan. Although this was only a verbal agreement, whoever won the final treasured palace would not be able to go back on their word. After all, the Red Emperor's illusory realm was created by the Red Emperor. Nothing could escape the Red Emperor's eyes. If they went back on their word, wouldn't they leave a bad impression on the Red Emperor? There is no point in monopolizing the upper desolation level martial arts technique. No one would be so stupid as to lose a watermelon and pick up a sesame seed. Soon, Long Yu saw Shu Chan, and Shu Chan had already agreed to Bai Shui's condition. When Jing Tianxing dealt with the guardian beast, they would fight for the final treasured palace together. Other than accepting, there is no other way. If we act together, we can guarantee at least the upper desolation level martial arts technique. Shu Chan said to Long Yu with a smile. Both parties finally met in the Red Emperor's illusory realm. After a brief exchange, they knew what had happened to each other. When they learned that it was Shu Chan who had been chasing after Long Yu and the others were speechless. So, it was you guys who were chasing after Long Yao? Long Yu smiled in a rather puzzled manner. And here I thought it was an expert from someplace. So, Long Yao was killed by you guys? Impressive. Behind Shu Chan, Jiang Yixing's eyes lit up. After that guy transformed into the Flood Dragon demon body, he ran away so fast that we couldn't catch up. The Shura Manor and Heavenly Mandate Manor had all 5 people, and each of them planned to go all out in the near future. They could not give up on the final treasured palace. The upper desolation level martial arts technique was attractive enough to any force, even to Long Yu and Shu Chan. Near the final treasured palace, Jing Tianxing and the other 3 forces had a total of 16 people. They waited for a long time, but no one else approached. The situation is not good. Jing Tianxing frowned slightly. What's not good? The giant elephant king snorted. There are still 6 hours before the illusory realm closes. It's about time to move, right? If we don't move now, we won't have the chance to deal with the guardian beasts in time. There's no hurry. I'm confident that I can deal with those 3 beasts within an hour. Jing Tianxing shook his head and said faintly, I want to see who is more patient. The giant elephant king was a little unhappy about this, but he did not say anything. It did not take much time to deal with 3 beasts of the same realm, but the key was that the others had not appeared yet. If they did not act soon, they might be disturbed by others and fail to succeed. However, the giant elephant king knew that Jing Tianxing wanted the final treasured palace more than he did, so he did not need to say anything more. Since Jing Tianxing was confident, he would believe in him. The battle for the final treasured palace was filled with invisible smoke. Both sides were waiting for the final moment to arrive. 2 hours. For hours. Chapter 731. Jing Tianxing frowned slightly. He knew very well that the other forces had definitely joined forces and were waiting for him to make a move. There's still an hour left. Since that's the case, let's take the initiative. Jing Tianxing made a decision and relaxed his brows. He said to the giant elephant king, let's split into 2 teams and go down to clean up the others. If we see anyone kill, Jing Tianxing naturally couldn't deal with the guardian beast directly, which would allow the other forces to easily cause trouble and snatch the final treasure palace. Therefore, he decided to take the initiative in the last 2 hours. Jing Tianxing was sure that many forces were hiding in the dense forest below, all ready to watch a good show. Since that was the case, let's get rid of the others first. The giant elephant king agreed. He waved his hand and led everyone except for the Sky Conductor Manor to descend into the dense forest below. The Sky Conductor Manor was led by Jing Tianxing and acted alone. As a mid-stage king realm expert, the giant elephant king was also qualified to lead a team of 3 king realm experts. Once they found anyone, they would immediately attack. It seems that Jing Tianxing won't obediently allow himself to be trampled on. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. Shu Chan, since the plan has changed, let's not rush to the front. Let's avoid the battle and hide first. Okay. Shu Chan, of course, nodded in agreement. It was better to hide in the dark than to be exposed. The 10 people from both sides sat on the heaven-grade flying weapon, the Azura Spirit Boat. Then, Long Yu raised his hand, and the entire Azura Spirit Boat became invisible. Long Yu steered the Azura Spirit Boat and quietly approached the direction the giant Elephant King was searching in. Because many forces were lying in ambush, there were people from other forces in all directions. Before Long Yu and the others arrived, a battle had already broken out. The giant Elephant King led 2 King Realm geniuses and found another force that was lying in ambush, and a huge battle had broken out. That force was North Snow's force. On the other side, all kinds of demonic cultivators rushed out. The Manor of Demons. The strongest mid-stage King Realm expert in White Snow's camp, the young master of the Manor of Demons, the Fire Lion King, had finally appeared. The moment the giant Elephant King broke free from White Snow's illusion, it was attacked by the Fire Lion King. The Flaming Lion King and the giant Elephant King were locked in battle, while Bai Shui and Zhao Zuren were facing off against the other 2 King Realm experts. Their momentum was overbearing, and they quickly gained the upper hand. After all, Bai Shui and Zhao Zuren were also geniuses close to the mid-stage King Realm. The forest was filled with vortexes of divine characters and explosions of power. The entire forest had suffered terrible damage. The Fire Lion King's entire body was covered in flames. Due to its sudden advantage, it had been suppressing the giant Elephant King. The terrifying flames covered the entire forest, completely surrounding the giant Elephant King. The giant Elephant King's physical body was very horrifying. Furthermore, it could continuously execute defensive martial techniques. Even the Fire Lion King's flames could not injure the giant Elephant King. However, under such circumstances, the giant Elephant King didn't have the slightest opportunity to counterattack. Bai Shui and Zhao Zuren, on the other hand, had already heavily injured the 2 Beast Kings that the giant Elephant King had brought with him. At this moment, Long Yu and Shu Chan appeared. Who wouldn't be willing to do something like beating a drowning dog, let alone cleaning up the enemy? Long Yu, Shu Chan, and the others arrived and directly joined the battle. Immediately, the people that the giant Elephant King had brought with him were killed one by one. Long Yu's spatial penetration could instantly kill a 7 divine ability realm martial cultivator. Even the 2 who were fighting with Bai Shui were caught off guard by Long Yu. In the end, they couldn't hold on any longer and turned into white light. The rest of the people faced the giant Elephant King together. Without a doubt, the giant Elephant King was beaten to the point where it couldn't even fight back. Ha ha! It really is you, Fire Lion King. A proud laugh came from afar. When everyone heard it, their expressions changed. It was actually Jing Tianxing. The rest of you have already been killed by me. Only you few are left. What else do you want? Why don't you pledge allegiance to my Skyway Manor? When the time comes, you will still have a share of the high-grade, desolate-level martial skills. As Jing Tianxing's voice fell, Bai Yi's figure appeared in front of everyone. With a raise of his hand, the power of a radiant divine rune completely separated the Fire Lion King's flames and brought the giant Elephant King to his side. Fortunately, the giant Elephant King's physical body was extremely terrifying. Even when facing the combined attacks of the Fire Lion King and Bai Shui, he didn't suffer any injuries. He really can take a beating. In the dark, many people thought to themselves. They looked at the giant Elephant King in puzzlement. This was especially true for Long Yu. He had dealt with many King Realm experts before, but this was the first time he had dealt with the giant Elephant King. Even though he had used space piercing, he was unable to harm the giant Elephant King in the slightest. The giant Elephant King's physical body was too strong, and he had the support of various defensive divine abilities, martial skills, and weapons. With Long Yu's current strength, it was impossible for him to hurt the giant Elephant King. If he wanted to hurt the giant Elephant King, he would have to exhaust his strength. At the late-stage King Realm, One's inner world would fuse with the true spirit and give birth to the origin energy. With the birth of the origin energy, the power of the entire inner world would increase by several times. Moreover, it would possess some special abilities. Therefore, once a cultivator stepped into the late-stage king realm, his strength would undergo a great transformation. I reached the late-stage king realm 5 years ago. After 5 years of consolidation, my strength is beyond your imagination. Jing Tianxing shouted and attacked brazenly. Bright light shone and enveloped the Silver Fox King. Both sides clashed. In the dense forest below, the giant Elephant King's strength was almost depleted. When he saw the Silver Fox King appear, he felt that something was wrong. However, right now, he could only help Jing Tianxing block the Fire Lion King, White Snow, and Zhao's Warren. Otherwise, if the three of them went to help the Silver Fox King, Jing Tianxing would definitely lose. Roar! The giant Elephant King transformed into his true form and prepared to resist with all his might. Divine powers. Protect my rivers and mountains. The giant Elephant King's entire body suddenly enlarged. He was already 30 feet tall, but at this moment, he grew even bigger. He grew to 60 feet tall, like a tall building. Boom! The giant Elephant King's body enlarged, and he stomped on the Fire Lion King, White Snow, and Zhao's Warren. 1 foot completely covered the three of them. Everyone else, get out of the way. The Fire Lion King snorted coldly and finally transformed into his true form. A fire lion, flames erupted from his body and directly razed the surrounding area to the ground. Monstrous flames. The Fire Lion King roared angrily. Flames instantly spread and burned toward the giant Elephant King's foot. White Snow and Zhao's Warren immediately retreated. White Snow transformed into a beautiful snow civet and flew into the sky. You guys deal with the giant Elephant King. My attack power isn't strong, so I can't deal with the giant Elephant King. I'll go and help deal with Jing Tianxing first. This was a good choice. White Snow's forte was the illusion divine power. Against a fellow with thick skin like the giant Elephant King, it was useless, since she couldn't break his defense. So what if she pulled him into an illusion? Chapter 732. Long Yu and Shu Chan led their people and waited at the back. They didn't want to get involved in this battle between king-level experts for the time being. Brother Long, when do we make our move? Man Xin asked Long Yu. There's no rush. Our attacks are useless against the giant Elephant King. Let's leave it to the Fire Lion King and Zhao's Warren. They'll quickly exhaust the giant Elephant King's energy. Long Yu shook his head and said, let's watch Jing Tianxing carefully and get ready to attack together at the critical moment. Long Yu had no way of dealing with a fellow with such thick skin and thick flesh like the giant Elephant King. Unless he used the ancient Dragon Bone Tower and used the Dragon Bone Break, there was no way he could hurt the other party. However, the ancient Dragon Bone Tower in the illusion had been severely damaged. If he used the Dragon Bone Break again, it would probably disintegrate. It wasn't worth it to use it against the giant Elephant King, who would be killed sooner or later. Long Yu and Shu Chan led their respective forces and watched the battle from a distance. High up in the sky, Shui floated up. With a wave of her hand, she unleashed an illusory divine ability that enveloped Jing Tianxing, causing his movements to become sluggish. The Silver Fox King took advantage of this opportunity. His figure flickered, and the power of spatial divine characters burst forth. He appeared behind Jing Tianxing and slashed at his neck with a silver-bladed battle weapon. Radiant Shield Wall. Jing Tianxing's lips curled up. He raised his hand, and the power of radiant divine characters condensed into a radiant shield wall, blocking the Silver Fox King's silver-bladed battle weapon. Then, the radiant divine characters burst forth from Jing Tianxing's body, forming light tentacles that instantly wrapped around the Silver Fox King. This was actually a flaw that Jing Tianxing had deliberately exposed. Bai Shui's illusory divine ability didn't affect Jing Tianxing at all. The Silver Fox King frowned and looked at Bai Shui with some dissatisfaction. He seemed to be blaming her for not helping him and causing him to fall into an ambush. Light tentacles appeared and wrapped around the Silver Fox King's entire body. However, the Silver Fox King naturally couldn't be killed just like that. His entire body flashed with silver light, and he transformed into his true form. A silver fox jumped out from the gaps of the light tentacles. Spatial divine symbols were cast, and in the blink of an eye, it was far away. Divine chains, spatial vortex. The Silver Fox King's true form was a silver fox, and its entire body emitted a silver glow. It was extremely elegant, and spatial divine characters erupted, instantly condensing into a spatial vortex near Jing Tianxing. This was a killing move. 7th grade divine chains. Impressive. Long Yu's eyes lit up. As expected of the Silver Fox King, he had actually comprehended a 7th grade divine chain. This was the first time he had seen someone else use a 7th grade divine chain other than his own. As for this spatial vortex, its destructive power was much stronger than Long Yu's spectral spiral. Of course, this was because it was purely a killing move. The power of condensed spatial divine rune spun like a torrent as it attacked. At the same time, it sealed off the surrounding space. If he wanted to block this attack, he could only take it head-on. It was impossible to dodge. On top of that, the Silver Fox King was strengthened by the power of his inner world, and even had the power of origin. The lethality of this move definitely surpassed any of Long Yu's techniques. As expected of experts at the advanced stage of the King realm, the first move is a killing move. Jing Tianxing narrowed his eyes when he saw this, but he did not panic. He raised his hand, and a burst of light, divine character power surged from his body. Accompanied by a strand of special power, it condensed into a new light shield wall, completely protecting him within it. Origin eruption, absolute defense. Jing Tianxing raised his hand, and that strand of special power condensed into the light shield wall. It actually made the ordinary light shield wall extremely sturdy. The spatial vortex trapped Jing Tianxing within it, but the eruption of his origin allowed him to display an absolute defense technique. Even the powerful 7th grade divine chains couldn't hurt Jing Tianxing at all. You've used your origins so quickly? The Silver Fox King's lips curled up. You've lost. Is that so? Jing Tianxing asked in return, and the smile on his face did not change. Silver Fox, you're too naive. There was a reason why Jing Tianxing was so confident. The absolute defense shield wall created by his origin could last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. During this time, even the Silver Fox King would not be able to harm him unless he also used his origin power. Origin power was a power that only experts at the advanced stage of the King realm could possess when they integrated the true spirit's origin into their inner world. Long Yu began to ponder as he observed the battle between the two great experts. Everyone only has one origin. If I step into the advanced stage of the King realm, I can integrate the dragon of the 9 underworld's true spirit into my inner world and transform it into the origin. Once it erupts, I'll be able to summon the dragon of the 9 underworld's true spirit to intimidate others. Long Yu narrowed his eyes, and he was looking forward to it. Although the eruption of origin power was not unlimited, the interval between using it would definitely be much shorter than a month. Originally, he could only summon the dragon of the 9 underworld's true spirit once a month. If he integrated it into the origin, he would be able to unleash the eruption of origin power every day to intimidate his enemies. Thinking about it this way, when Long Yu stepped into the advanced stage of the King realm, he would definitely not be weaker than Jing Tianxing and the Silver Fox King. No matter how strong his opponent was, he would directly erupt his origin power to intimidate his opponent, and then finish it with one move. Of course, it did not exclude the possibility that some experts had some special origin power that could offset the intimidating effect of Long Yu's origin power. However, such origin power was in a minority. While Long Yu was pondering, Jing Tianxing had already suppressed the Silver Fox King in the sky. It could not be helped. After Jing Tianxing erupted his origin power, he had an absolute defense that lasted for 30 minutes. The Silver Fox King had no way of harming Jing Tianxing at all. At this time, there was only a little more than an hour left before the Red Emperor's illusion closed. If the battle continued for a longer time, he might not have enough time to kill the last 3 guardian beasts. As if he had made up his mind, the Silver Fox King raised his hand, and spatial divine characters condensed in his hand. At the same time, he also condensed wind elemental divine characters. The Silver Fox King was naturally an expert with dual divine characters. Origin power, hurricane impact. Killing intent flashed in the Silver Fox King's eyes. Facing Jing Tianxing's turtle shell-like absolute defense, he was furious. He had to get rid of Jing Tianxing as soon as possible and then kill the 3 guardian beasts. The hurricane divine characters and the space divine characters intertwined with each other, forming a terrifyingly powerful light beam. The scattered space divine characters formed a spatial turbulence that enveloped the entire sky. Any spatial blade had the power to shatter Jing Tianxing's absolute defense. When the hurricane impact light beam descended, the absolute defense shield wall around Jing Tianxing was broken. The origin power of both sides collided, erupting with terrifying power. Bai Shui, who was closest to it, dodged immediately. What a joke! Even the giant Elephant King would be blasted into ashes by this kind of origin power, let alone her. If Bai Shui did not run, would she stay and wait for death? Divine chains, deity, summon. A wave of light, divine characters descended from the sky and enveloped the battlefield. At the same time, a giant figure formed by light, divine characters appeared in midair. This was Jing Tianxing's powerful divine chains. It was another 7th grade divine chain. He had actually summoned a so-called deity of light divine characters to help him fight. The giant figure moved and charged toward the Silver Fox King. The dust and smoke from the explosion dissipated into air currents, revealing Jing Tianxing's body. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. His white clothes were tattered, and he was in a sorry state. The impact just now had been the closest to him. When his absolute defense was shattered by the hurricane impact, he was, of course, severely injured. It's about time. Let's go. But be careful not to use any trump cards. Long Yu gave the order at this moment. Listen to him. Let's do it. Shu Chan nodded. She had worked with Long Yu for a long time and trusted Long Yu's decisions. There were a total of 10 people from the Heavenly Mandate Manor and Shura Manor. They immediately attacked Jing Tianxing, who was in midair. It's fine if it's a silver fox, but even a fly wants to join the fun. Jing Tianxing immediately noticed the actions of Long Yu and the others. He immediately snorted and said, Long Yu, the lad who defeated Long Yao. Interesting. Do you know that the early stage of the King Realm and the later stage are completely different concepts? Now, I will wake you up from your dream. Jing Tianxing laughed sinisterly. He looked directly at Long Yu and the others who were flying up. The deity summoned by the Silver Fox King could not free himself for the time being. Jing Tianxing wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of Long Yu and the others. Light divine characters condense. Disperse. Long Yu gave the order. He, Shu Chan, and the other 10 people dispersed. Die. Jing Tianxing opened his arms. 2 light shockwaves suddenly shot toward Long Yu and Shu Chan. Merak footwork. Seeing this, the corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up. How could he forcibly resist such a powerful shockwave? Merak footwork, short-distance teleportation, and he directly dodged it. As for Shu Chan, she directly used the Azura butterfly transformation and became completely illusory. She would not be harmed by any attack. Azura grip. Shu Chan used the innate mystique. A pitch-black light condensed from Azura divine characters instantly appeared in front of Jing Tianxing, binding his entire body. What a joke. Jing Tianxing sneered disdainfully. Light divine characters emitted from his body. Even though he was seriously injured, he cannot be dealt with by such a small trick. The Azura grip broke in the middle. Jing Tianqing broke free and raised his hand. Mystique, Lightbind. Countless lines of light appeared in the field and actually wrapped around Long Yu and the other 9 cultivators. The imprisonment of a late-stage King Realm expert caused Long Yu and the other cultivators of the transcendent mystic realm to be unable to move. Light, explode. Jing Tianqing clenched his fists. Immediately, the lines of light divine characters binding Long Yu and the others exploded. The 10 people and the exploding light divine characters turned into white light. However, even so, Jing Tianqing still felt that something was not quite right. He's trapped in an illusion. Now attack. Long Yu saw Bai Shui make a move not far away. She had trapped the heavily injured Jing Tianqing in an illusion. He nodded to Bai Shui and called for Shu Chan and the others to attack at the same time. Long Yu and the others used their own methods to evade the light binding and attacked Jing Tianqing at the same time. In Jing Tianqing's illusion, Long Yu and the others had already been killed. Chapter 733. Divine Power, Dragon Breath of the 9 Underworlds. Long Yu directly used this innate divine power and blasted it towards Jing Tianqing, who was trapped in the illusion. Shu Chan and the others also released their moves from afar. Countless divine characters fluctuated and instantly surrounded Jing Tianqing. As the illusion created by Bai Shui was exactly the same as what Jing Tianqing had imagined, Long Yu and the others were defeated in one move, so Jing Tianqing did not react so quickly. But soon, he broke out of the illusion. Something was wrong. With Jing Tianqing's cultivation, he easily discovered that he had fallen into an illusion again. When he woke up from the illusion, he was faced with the joint attack of Long Yu and the others. Boom! A burst of divine characters exploded, and the terrifying destructive power shrouded Jing Tianqing, causing his face to turn ugly. Light shield wall. Jing Tianqing raised his hand and directly used a defensive divine power, completely blocking the joint attack of the 10 people. Space penetration. At this moment, Long Yu raised his hand, and the nether void dragon blade tore through the void and appeared behind Jing Tianqing, stabbing towards his back. Bang! The nether void dragon blade was completely repelled. Jing Tianqing was wearing a great desolate grade battle armor. Long Yu's sneak attack on his back was useless, as it was blocked by the battle armor. Due to the powerful radiant divine runes, the nether dragon blade was unable to harm the battle weapon at all. This caused Long Yu's heart to sink. It turned out that the gap between him and Jing Tianqing was actually so huge. In that case, how terrifying was Yu Hanxin? No matter what method Long Yu used, he could not hurt Yu Hanxin at all. Of course, Long Yu would not go against Yu Hanxin, but it was conceivable how big the gap between an Emperor Realm and a King Realm cultivator was. Even the late-stage King Realm Jing Tianqing was countless times stronger than the early-stage King Realm Long Yao. Hundreds of Long Yao could not defeat one Jing Tianqing, not to mention the Emperor Realm. However, there were 10 people on Long Yu's side. Qi Hua's original Heavenly Fire Divine Runes combined with Hua Mei Er's great desolate high-ranked combat weapon, the Secret Heavenly Fire. A terrifying fiery tornado burst out from the top of Jing Tianqing's head. Xiao Chun recalled the astral divine characters that he had comprehended from one star. Several meteors descended from the sky, crashing toward Jing Tianqing's head. Shu Chan gently waved her hand, and the divine chain Azura storm arrived with a loud rumble. The Azura divine runes turned into a storm that swept toward Jing Tianqing. Man Xin brandished the stormy demonic saber in his hand, sending out 5 saber lights in succession. Countless divine characters descended again. However, Jing Tianqing merely waved his hand and said, "Radiant shield wall." Divine runes of light quickly condensed in front of him, blocking all attacks. Attacks at the transcendent mystic realm could not break through the light shield wall at all. Even Shu Chan's attack God Chain and Long Yu's various techniques could not break through Jing Tianxing's defense. But at this time, the Silver Fox King finally destroyed Jing Tianxing's 7th grade divine chain, the heavenly god summoning, and charged toward Jing Tianxing. Transcendent mystic realm, space annihilation. The Silver Fox King's attack instantly sealed off a large area of space around Jing Tianxing. This attack was an indiscriminate attack, and Long Yu and the others were all trapped within it. Retreat. Long Yu subconsciously lifted his hand, allowing the Azura holy tree to rush out from within his body. Countless black vines and branches spread out, directly breaking apart the spatial seal behind him. Then he retreated. Shu Chan and the others who were quick to react also escaped from the Silver Fox King's space annihilation through the opening that Long Yu created. However, there were still a few who failed to escape in time. Man Xn, Chihua, Mei as well as Fu Tsubing and Lord Yunxing of the Azura Manor, a total of 5 people, were still trapped within the space annihilation's range due to the distance. Divine ability, Mirror of Radiance. The corner of Jing Tianxing's mouth curved into a smile when he saw the Silver Fox King's attack. He immediately formed a mirror of radiance beside him. This was a reflection divine ability that could reflect all attacks he received back to the person who released them. Even the mirror of radiance wouldn't be able to withstand the hurricane impact from the eruption of the origin, but this space annihilation could be reflected back. Kill. The Silver Fox King clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes were cold. He didn't even put Long Yu and the others in his eyes. He didn't need help to deal with Jing Tianxing. As for killing Man Xin and the others, would he care? In fact, because Yu Hanxin had always thought highly of Long Yu and Shu Chan, the Silver Fox King had a stomach full of anger. How could a brat like Long Yu be mentioned in the same breath as him? The Silver Fox King. Now, in the midst of the battle, it seemed as if he didn't care, but in truth, he was deliberately sealing off Long Yu and the others. However, he didn't expect that Long Yu would immediately release the Azura Holy Tree, which actually broke through his spatial killing technique. However, the Azura Sacred Tree was also Long Yu's last trump card, right? The corner of the Silver Fox King's mouth curved into a smile. A weakling was a weakling after all. Even after using all his trump cards, he could only dodge a casual space annihilation. The terrifying power of the space annihilation suddenly exploded. Man Xin and the others, who couldn't escape from the range of the space annihilation in time, all turned into white light. They ran out, but they encountered a spatial barrier and couldn't leave. They wanted to escape from the gap that Long Yu had broken through, but they didn't have enough time. Thus, they could only die here. This illusory death made them completely understand how terrifying a late-stage King Realm expert was. However, before Man Xin and the others' consciousness fell asleep, they were all stunned. The Silver Fox King was clearly on the same side as them. Didn't that white snow say that everyone had an agreement to deal with Jing Tianxing together? Why did the Silver Fox King, before they could think of anything, Man Xin and the others' consciousness fell into a deep sleep? They could only wake up in reality after the Red Emperor's illusion was deactivated. Don't you think it's ridiculous to reflect my own attack back to me? The Silver Fox King could feel the power of the space annihilation being used on him due to Jing Tianxing's mirror of light. He couldn't help but curl up the corners of his mouth. His figure flickered, and he disappeared from his original spot, appearing in another place. Boom! Another explosion sounded. The place where the Silver Fox King was originally had also exploded with the power of the space annihilation in the sky. Even with the help of white snow, Long Yu, and the others, Jing Tianxing and the Silver Fox King were still evenly matched. It was difficult to determine the winner in a short period of time. Silver Fox King. Long Yu watched as Man Xin and the others turned into white light and flew away. His eyes flashed with a glint. How could this be? They were all helping the Silver Fox King to deal with Jing Tianxing, but the Silver Fox King had actually used such an area of effect attack to kill them all. If it weren't for Long Yu's quick reflexes, all 10 of them would have died. They didn't die at the hands of Jing Tianxing, but they almost died at the hands of their own people. Let's retreat. Long Yu raised his hand and said directly to Shu Quan. His voice was cold. Long Yu would never forget the Silver Fox King's attack. He would make the Silver Fox King pay. Shu Quan felt a little scared when she heard Long Yu's voice. She was very familiar with Long Yu's personality. How the Silver Fox King treated the people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor and Shura Manor was naturally infuriating. Who could tolerate it? Although they weren't a match for the Silver Fox King head-on. Long Yu and Shu Quan had worked together many times. Most of the time, they wouldn't fight head-on. Shu Quan also nodded and said, "Let's retreat first and look for an opportunity." There were originally 5 people in the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Now, only Long Yu and Xiao Xing were left. Xiao Xing pursed her lips and nodded. Of course, she would listen to Long Yu. Only Jiang Yixing and Dugu Yijian were left in the Shura Manor. The two were fast and followed Long Yu out of the range of the fatal space. Dugu Yijian listened to Shu Quan completely. Of course, it didn't matter. Jiang Yixing wasn't someone to be trifled with. A murderous look flashed in his eyes. He nodded and followed Long Yu and Shu Quan to retreat. They couldn't win head-on, but this was the Red Emperor's illusion. Even if they died, it didn't matter. The key was to die with value. None of them were afraid of dying here. However, they couldn't accept dying in the hands of their own people. Silver Fox King, The 5 of them retreated. Bai Shui watched from the side and was puzzled by the Silver Fox King's actions. Big Brother Silver Fox, the Heavenly Mandate Manor, and the Shura Manor are our allies. Long Yu and Shu Quan are not weak. Bai Shui had a good relationship with the Silver Fox King, so she asked in confusion. However, before she could finish, the Silver Fox King interrupted her and said lightly, "Little sister, when you choose your allies, you have to keep your eyes open. What can a kid like Long Yu do in a battle of the middle and later stages of the King Realm? I don't think they are our allies." This sentence declared the Silver Fox King's attitude without reservation. From the beginning, when Yu Hanxin personally went to the border to bring Long Yu and the others back, the Silver Fox King began to be unhappy with Long Yu and the others. They were just some people in the secret realm. Why did Lady Yu Hanxin care so much? The alliance that Bai Shui had mentioned to Long Yu was obviously led by the Silver Fox King to deal with Jing, Tianxing, and the others. In the end, they would share the upper grade desolate level martial arts technique. Now, when the Silver Fox King said what he just said, it meant that even if he obtained the upper grade desolate level martial arts technique, he would not admit that the Heavenly Mandate Manor and the Shura Manor were his allies. In other words, the Silver Fox King would not share the upper grade desolate level martial arts technique with Long Yu and the others. This guy, he's too much. Xiao Xing, who had not retreated far, heard the Silver Fox King's words and could not help but be angry. Wasn't he looking down on them? The key was that they had all put in a lot of effort to deal with Jing Tianxing. Now that the battle was about to end, they were actually excluded? How dare he? It doesn't matter. We still have a chance. Let's hide first. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He would not give up just like that. Logically speaking, he could not interfere in a battle of the later stages of the King Realm. But the Silver Fox King and Jing Tianxing were obviously evenly matched. Chapter 734. Long Yu, Shu Quan, and the others flew down to the ground and hid in the forest. The Silver Fox King and Jing Tianxing, who were engaged in an intense battle, naturally did not notice them. After all, Long Yu and the others were merely ants in their eyes. Only Bai Shui looked apologetically at the place where Long Yu and the others had disappeared. However, she couldn't say anything. The Silver Fox King's decision couldn't be changed by her alone. In truth, in Bai Shui's heart, he only felt a little apologetic. It was impossible for him to apologize to Long Yu and Shu Quan. Bai Shui, the Silver Fox King, and the Flaming Lion King were all young experts of the North Snow Dynasty. The factions they belonged to were established factions of the North Snow Dynasty. However, what about Long Yu and Shuchan? The two had just arrived and only had Mo Zhaiqian, the Emperor Path's secret realm, as their backing. They were far inferior compared to them, whether it was the Snow Civet Manor, the Silver Fox Manor, or the Palace of Monsters. Their strongest experts were all Emperor Realm experts. Below, the battle against the Giant Elephant King had finally ended. The Flaming Lion King, Jiao Zuoren, and a few other 7 Divine Realms experts worked together to deal with the Giant Elephant King. The Giant Elephant King could not fight back at all. After its strength was exhausted, it could only be killed by the others and turned into white light. Immediately after, the Flaming Lion King and Jiao Zuoren rose into the air and began to help the Silver Fox King attack Jing Tianxing with Bai Shui. At this point, Jing Tianxing and the Silver Fox King had used up a lot of their strength. However, no one was willing to give up. Both factions were enemies to begin with. There was no possibility of reconciliation at this moment. Kill. At the Silver Fox King's command, everyone attacked Jing Tianxing once again. Silver Fox, you must remember that if you obtain the final treasured palace, you must share the Great Desolate rank martial technique with us. The Flaming Lion King said in a deep voice. Of course, the Silver Fox King respected the Flaming Lion King. Although the Flaming Lion King was not as strong as him, his father was powerful. He was also an Emperor Realm expert and was not any weaker than the Silver Fox King's father. All right, kill. The Fire Lion King, Jiao Zuoren, and Bai Shui joined forces with the Silver Fox King to attack Jing Tianxing. With the help of the Flaming Lion King, Jing Tianxing's power was being drained at an exponential rate. He would probably be defeated very soon. Even if I can't get the final treasure palace, I won't let you get it. Jing Tianxing laughed heartily. Seeing that he couldn't win, the light divine runes on his body started to condense rapidly. The power in his dantian appeared on the surface of his body. He wanted to self-detonate. Even if Jing Tianxing had a 1 in 10,000 chance of winning this battle, it would only be a Pyrrhic victory. It was impossible for him to defeat the 3 king-tier late-stage exotic beasts in the remaining time. Therefore, he chose to self-destruct. In comparison, self-destruction would obviously cause more damage to the Silver Fox King and the others, making them unable to deal with the Guardian Beast. As long as the Guardian Beast didn't die, no one would be able to obtain the items in the treasure hall. Are you crazy? When the Silver Fox King saw that Jing Tianxing was about to self-detonate, he couldn't help but be alarmed. He hastily used his strongest defensive means, and layers of spatial barriers appeared in front of him. However, how could the detonation of an expert at the advanced stage of the King Realm be so easy to resist? Boom! With a loud bang, the light divine runes exploded in the field, and a terrifying airwave swept everything away. The Silver Fox King, Bai Shui, the Fire Lion King, and Jiao Zuoren were all shrouded in it. If an expert at the advanced stage of the King Realm chose to self-detonate, the power produced would be much more terrifying than the self-detonation of an expert at the early stage of the King Realm. Long Yu had seen the Azura King's concubine, Yin Jing, self-detonate, and Yin Jing's cultivation was only at the early stage of the King Realm. Now that he thought about it, Shu Chan's father, the Azura King, seemed to be an expert at the advanced stage of the King Realm. However, back then, Long Yu wasn't clear about the specific cultivation realms in the King Path secret realm. Jing Tianxing's self-detonation was like the eruption of the sun, and the power of the light divine runes enveloped the entire field. Even though Long Yu and the others were far away, they were still affected by the shockwaves. Even though the shockwaves were not very intense, they were still slightly injured. As for the dense forest on the ground, it was all swept away, leaving only a huge pit. It was as if the ground had been hit by a meteorite. The power of the self-detonation of an expert at the advanced stage of the King Realm was evident. In the sky, the battle finally came to an end. At the critical moment, the Silver Fox King unleashed a powerful defensive technique, but he couldn't completely block Jing Tianxing's self-detonation. He was blasted away and fell heavily into the pit on the ground. In addition, Bai Shui was completely obliterated in the self-detonation. She turned into white light and dissipated, and her consciousness fell into a deep sleep. On the other hand, the Fire Lion King and Jiao's weren't survived. However, the Fire Lion King was also half dead. He fell from different directions with the Silver Fox King and fell into the pit on the ground. Only Jiao's Warren had used some unknown method to forcefully survive the self-destruction and had only suffered minor injuries. The scene was completely silent. The three beasts at the advanced stage of the King realm guarded the huge, floating final treasure palace, as if they were mocking everyone. The Silver Fox King was seriously injured. Could he still deal with the three beasts? Suddenly, a woman in blue appeared from the dense forest and flew toward the Silver Fox King. Qiao Ziying, water recovery. Under Long Yu's instructions, Qiao Ziying came over to heal the Silver Fox King. After all, Qiao Ziying was a supportive technique. At this time, she finally played a big role. Everyone on the scene was dead. The Fire Lion King was seriously injured and couldn't get up. It couldn't possibly have any combat power left. Jiao's Warren also didn't understand the healing technique. To defeat the three advanced stage beasts and enter the final treasure palace, the only way was to heal the Silver Fox King. The Silver Fox King was covered by Qiao Ziying's healing technique. The water divine characters flowed through his body, and he finally recovered some strength. He then started to use his own healing technique. Qiao Ziying used the water recovery. Although it couldn't completely heal the Silver Fox King, it allowed him to recover some strength. He could use his own techniques. Without wasting any time, the Silver Fox King started to use his healing technique. The wounds on his body healed quickly, and the strength in his body surged again. You must be the little guy from the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Soon, the Silver Fox King opened his eyes and looked at Qiao Ziying. At this time, Qiao Ziying had not finished using the water recovery. She was still healing him. I, the Silver Fox King, don't need your help. The Silver Fox King sneered. He waved his hand, and the power of space condensed into a blade. He suddenly cut Qiao Ziying in half. When this scene appeared, Long Yu and the other three who were still hiding in the forest in the distance were immediately enraged. This guy was indeed like this. He didn't take them seriously at all. However, if Qiao Ziying hadn't used the water recovery on him, which allowed him to quickly use his healing technique, the Silver Fox King wouldn't have had enough time to deal with the three guardian beasts. This guy is so disgusting. Jiang Yixing followed behind Long Yu. When he saw Qiao Ziying turn into white light, he couldn't help but grit his teeth. How ungrateful was the Silver Fox King. If it wasn't for Qiao Ziying's help, no one would be able to enter the final treasure palace. It doesn't matter. I asked Ziying to save him because I want to use him as our chess piece. Long Yu said calmly. His eyes were shining with shrewdness. Everyone's goal was the final treasure palace, and Long Yu was no exception. He asked Qiao Ziying to help not because he wanted the Silver Fox King to share the great desolate level martial arts technique with him after he obtained the final treasure palace, but because he wanted to use the Silver Fox King as a chess piece to deal with the three guardian beasts in the later stage of the King realm. Jiao's Warren, protect me. After the Silver Fox King killed Qiao Ziying with a wave of his hand, he stood up. His eyes were filled with coldness. Kill anyone who comes near. Yes. Jiao's Warren nodded. This was a young man who looked very ordinary. However, he was the one who managed to survive Jing Tianqing's self-explosion and still had most of his combat power. One had to know that even the Fire Lion King, who was in the middle stage of the King realm, couldn't preserve its combat power and was seriously injured to the Silver Fox King. Killing Qiao Ziying was just a casual matter. It was a trivial matter, and he wouldn't be bothered by it. Of course, he knew that Long Yu and the others were still eyeing him covetously from the side. But to him, how could Long Yu and the others be a threat? No, the Silver Fox King had mastered the power of the divine rune of space. As long as he killed the three guardian beasts, he would be able to enter the final throne hall and obtain the final treasure. Would Long Yu and the others pose any threat to him? Not at all. The Silver Fox King flew towards the three guardian beasts alone. Now, there was only 1 hour left before the Red Emperor's illusion closed. To the Silver Fox King, it was just enough. The Silver Fox King was fighting 1 against 3, but he wasn't at a disadvantage at all. After all, the beasts in the Red Emperor's illusion were suppressed to a certain extent. Although the 3 beasts were in the late stage of the King Realm, their true strength was similar to the middle stage of the King Realm. It was just that they had a little more origin energy. This slightly delayed the Silver Fox King's time. However, it didn't matter. He felt that he could still defeat the 3 8-clawed flying bat beasts easily. After an incense stick's time, the first beast died. After another incense stick's time, the second beast died. After 2 beasts died, the third beast actually became a little more violent. Its combat power increased sharply, causing the Silver Fox King to frown slightly. He didn't expect the third beast to become violent in the end. Moreover, its aura was actually rising towards the Emperor realm. Zhao's were in help. There were only a few dozen breaths left before the Red Emperor's illusion closed. The Silver Fox King had no choice but to ask Zhao's to help him deal with the third beast. Otherwise, if there wasn't enough time, no one would be able to obtain the final treasure palace. All their efforts would be in vain. Zhao's nodded and flew forward to help the Silver Fox King deal with the last beast. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.